We're not prepped. I haven't even had any breakfast this morning. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, are we on live on YouTube?
Seems to says you're live.
So, hi and a huge welcome. Big show today, lots going on. I've just got the Facebook Live going as well, so that's all cool. I just want to, anybody out there watching today, just pop in, say hello. It's going to be a bit of a marathon show today. We've got lots to cook. I've got clotted cream and scones and sandwiches and all sorts of stuff going on. A few extra special little bits and pieces as well. So drop in on Facebook. Drop into YouTube occasionally. I'll try and go live on Facebook every now and again, but the main event is going to be on YouTube. Remember to mute that, Michelle, because it will probably echo. It's already muted. Yeah. All right. So we're also, it's technically so difficult. We have really bad internet here, so we've had to like tether up with 2 different phones. We might drop out at some point, but it should be all good. Anyway, who's watching on Facebook? Somebody? I'll leave it running on Facebook for a little while. Shall I leave it on in the background? I don't know. I'm not a big Facebook fan. I mean, I use it quite a bit, but I don't understand it.
Good morning, Byron.
Is Byron in, is he?
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Now, that's all blurry over there. Michelle, is that just because the camera's drop it? The camera's losing focus. It's all right. It's all good. I'm going to stop on Facebook, because I want to focus on the audience over here. I'll come back to Facebook later on if something exciting happens. Ciao. Good morning, Byron. So that one can stay there for now, Michelle. We're going to have a heap of fun on the channel today. I doubt any of you are going to stay for the whole event, because Michelle and I just thought we'd do. Now, what's troubling you?
Just turn it off.
So Michelle and I thought we'd. Tell me what the picture and sound is like, by the way, because the setup we've got today to make this work throughout the day is so complicated. Who's looking forward to the royal wedding, by the way? I know there's mixed opinions out there. People have got different opinions. Some people don't like the royals. Some people do. I can't really. I sit on the fence a little bit. I love the pomp and ceremony that goes with the royals. I understand they're highly privileged and they have, almost those blessed lives, but they don't choose. They don't choose their life, and they're good people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm making clotted cream. I started making it last night. I'll explain to you the process in a moment, because it's a little different to my old clotted cream video. I've tried to simplify it, and I also wanted to make some dainty little small batches. I've had no breakfast this morning, so I got myself some of that elderflower and lemon drizzle cake.
So Keith Cunningham says, hi, Steve.
Hey, Keith, how are you? This stuff is delicious, by the way. And this is my breakfast. We have planned for 2 or 3 days to do this. You can't believe the complexities. Over here on the side, Keith, clotted cream. It's in a slow cooker, in a bain-marie in the slow cooker. So I put it on last night. It needs at least sort of 8 to 12 hours, depending on your slow cooker. Now I've swallowed that a little bit too fast. I'm probably going to get hiccups. Let me bring the camera over, see if we can see. You see this marking? Is that clear?
Yeah.
See this marking? I added salt to the water. There's a reason behind that. I wanted to invoke the sort of Cornish coastal line. And I think the cows and that they use in Cornwall probably have access to really good oceanside grass. So I added a little salt into the water. You probably can't see it. I can't, let me just tilt it down. We've got little pots of thick cream in there. I'll get one. I'll grab one in a moment and show it to you.
Lady G says, hello, Steve, sir.
Hi, Lady G.
And the Jamaican girl says, hi, Steve and Michelle. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Jamaican girl. Kel, how are you? So I've got these little pots in there, pretty little pots. And inside we've got some thick cream. You have to find cream with the highest butterfat content that you can. Ideally, I know it's difficult in the US sometimes to find cream with a high butter content. The closer to 50%, the better, the richer your cream is going to be. So what I've decided to do, because I want those, there's a company in the UK called Rodder, and they make, they're famous for their Cornish clotted cream. And they make them and sell them in the shops in these little pots. They're not as pretty as this. I think they're even possibly a plastic pot. But also, I think we get a lot of confusion when I've made clotted cream. People say, oh, it's all running underneath and this and the other. Yes, I mean, clotted cream is not just clots of cream. Some of the cheaper brands, it's just like almost like a thickened cream. But clotted cream is a combination of those rich, creamy, buttery creams and slightly runnier cream. That happens. And when Rodder make them in the West Country, they make them in these little pots and they sell them straight away. So they get packaged. So I'm trying to recreate that. So what I've done, this one here is a, let me just tilt the camera down. Now I haven't got instant, so I can't see, Michelle, that's not so good.
Back towards you. That's it, cool.
So just cream, thick cream. It's about half an inch from the top of the pot. What I've done is I've put my slow cooker on the lowest temperature, and this is experimental for us. We haven't really tried it properly, but I like the results that I'm getting. But I'm topping the water up in the slow cooker. I'm putting water in and I'm bringing it right up to near the top of my little ramekin here. And what that guarantees me is the heat inside the slow cooker, if your slow cookers aren't that accurate, won't get above 100 degrees, and that's important because we don't want to burn the cream. We want it to metabolize and we want it to evaporate slightly. So it's important that you don't get it too hot. If you feel your slow cooker is not a good quality one and it burns too hot, if you find it burns stews and things, then what you can do is actually put a cloth inside. Now the cloth won't burn because it'll be soaked in the water, so you can put a cloth in the bottom, and what that will do is it stop the contact with the bottom of this little ramekin from getting above that temperature. If the ramekin sits on something that's too hot, you could still burn your cream. So I kept this one out to show you. There are 3 in there. Now
there's a few comments coming in here.
Okay.
So Sci-Fi HQ says, hey Steve, how's your day?
My day is super hectic. Don't ask me why I decided to do this. Michelle and I just thought it'd be a bit of fun, the royal wedding coming up. Today on the show, we are going to be baking heaps, cooking heaps. We've got some really exciting things. I'm going to show you some delicious scones. I'm going to, scones, you call them what you like. English style scones. We've got a little American influence going on with some masa flour. We've got some southern fried chicken. We've got heaps going on. So what I'll do is in the live show comments, I'll try and get Michelle to maybe put down time codes. So if you just want to see, if you're watching this later on, you just want to see portions that are, showing you how to make English scones or clotted cream, we'll try and add that in there. So my day is frantic, hectic. Yeah. The house is full of condiments, ingredients, herbs, spices, whatever we can get our hands on, we've been trying to get, and but it's fun.
Alberta Aman says, congratulations, 2,000K subscribers for today. Idol Chef, more videos.
Well, look, thank you very much. 2,000K was nice. It's just a number. Every single one of my subscribers are special to me, whether or not the numbers are small or great. Now, what I want to do, and another thing, this is another experiment. You'll see inside my slow cooker, there's a lot of white lines. It's the salt. We are going to experiment with getting seawater and putting it into the slow cooker to try and impart in the vapors some salty seaness into our clotted cream. It will be not noticeable. It won't be different, but I'm just seeing it's just something I want to do. Realistically, I suspect it might not make a lot of difference. The other important thing, let me just take this. I'm going to put this one in with the other 3, and I'll try and get one out. It might be a bit hot. to show you one that's been on the heat overnight. So back in my head.
Byron says, Steve, you're one cool guy. I hope you make key lime filled donuts this summer.
Yum.
And Christian Vargas Duca said, greetings, congratulations, your recipes are great. Jan A says, hello, Steve and Michelle, love the jacket. Albetha Alman said, I learned a lot of menu from your videos, chef.
Thank you. Look at this one. This one's been in. Now, I'll try and get the camera okay for you. Michelle, tell me if we're in. Can you see that beautiful crust that's developed on there? There's a little bit of evaporation. The cream is super hot. The little ramekin is super hot, so you can barely hold it. But when that cools down, what I might do actually, if I leave this one out, because this one's been in about 10 hours. So I'm going to leave this one over here. When that cools down, and we're going to chill it then in the fridge, we're going to have the most delicious clotted cream. It's going to be rich and buttery. I don't know how much liquid will be underneath this one. I only bought these little ramekins yesterday. Hot, but not too hot, mind you. Hot enough that you burn your fingers if you have them. So this one that hasn't been done, I'm going to drop it in with the other three. Now, most importantly, don't put your glass lid onto your slow cooker, because you don't want to actually make a steam bath, and you want some of the liquid to evaporate. So all you're going to do is put a dishcloth or a towel over the top. But what you also have to do is check that the water level doesn't drain right down. So you have to top this up with water from a kettle. So you have to have hot water, because you can't put cold water in there. You might crack your pot. Hot water, and just top it up occasionally so that the water level doesn't get down to empty. And it tends to, I found with my ramekins here, every sort of 5 to 6 hours, you can top this up, and it should stay perfectly good. It smells, so just a little cloth over the top. It smells so good.
Sharon Nathan Pole says, looking sharp, I made your golden syrup and flapjacks the other day. I've got to run by breakfast time here.
Flapjacks.
And Laurel says, hello everyone, sometime make Steve's lardy cake. It's one of my favourite recipes. All have been superb and fun to cook.
Thank you to
Sharon Nathan Pole.
thank you to what's the New Forest bakers? Jennings, the baker. Jennings, the bakers in the New Forest in England, who first turned me on and inspired me to lardy cake that absolutely drips with syrupy treacle and lard. That actually would have been a nice recipe to have included in the royal wedding. I mean, tell me what you think the royals will be eating. We certainly know they're having a elderflower and lemon cake made by a lady. I forget her name, but that is a great combination. This, which is the elderflower and lemon drizzle cake that I made yesterday, tells me how good that is, because the density of this cake, the beautiful drizzly lemon tartness that's running in there, the little hint, and it is only quite subtle, that the elderflower hint that's in here, it's so good. So what do you think? Today's recipes, by the way, are going to be about sort of those sort of things that are served in the afternoon tea if you went to Claridge's in London, or the Ritz. And you're going to have, we've got a little display tray to put our stuff onto as we make it. It's the sort of stuff you would have in a 5-star hotel if you went for afternoon tea. You're going to learn how to make a lot of these things today. If you stick with me, nobody's going to stick with me all day, I don't think. You're going to learn how to make a lot of these things and how to present them and make them gorgeous. Hopefully, this is all live, so live can go completely wrong. I've had no breakfast.
So Quiddity says, howdy, honey.
Oh, that is so moist. Hi, Quiddity.
Lots of comments here.
Leslie, I need a cup of coffee. And you probably, you guys in the USA, ladies and guys in the USA, and I know guys is a sort of generic term for men and women. Thank you for staying up. Thank you if you stay up a little bit later with me. If any of you didn't make this drizzle cake, you should try it. So good. You'll see in the video I'm pouring the moisture in. I'm thinking to myself, it always looks like more liquid than you can possibly cope with, but by the time you chill that cake down and then lift it out, as I did, set it with a little icing, it is such a good cake. So hi Leslie, Michelle's on comments today, so she will try to keep up with things. Can you believe this show may go on for as long as 10 hours? I don't know if it will. We might end up giving up after 1 hour, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, we've got lots of comments coming in. So Lady G says, "Ah, bless you, sir." And the Chinese jacket was wicked. Jan A says, "Lovely crust." Oh, that was on your clotted cream. Yeah, and smell. And Yo-Yo Max 12 says, "Love the chef's jacket." Hi, Tammy. Tammy, you doing anything this weekend for the royal wedding? I don't know if you might have a bit of fun. This clotted cream, by the way, Tammy, so beautiful. Tammy, Yo-Yo Max, always lovely to have you in, sweetheart. It is a pleasure. I'm about to make a coffee. Go on. Martha Micah says, "Hi, Michelle and Steve. Love your YouTube page. Great explanation and all the recipes. Greetings from Illinois and congratulations to the royal couple." Thank you. That's Martha? Martha Micah. Hi, Martha. How are you? Sci-Fi HQ says, "Looks super good." Aussie 3876, "Is the wedding today? Question marks. No. I need to keep up with the world. So don't we all? No, weddings generally on weekends, so it's this weekend. Saturday. And that cake you made yesterday looks amazing. That cake I made yesterday tastes amazing. Looks a little bit plain, a drizzle cake. It is one of those quintessential sort of British cakes, I think, that is a little bit plain to look at, but so good. I mean, once you start eating this stuff, it's not too sweet. The lemons sort of like counteract that. So say good night to Jan A. It's bedtime. Good night for now. Good night, Jan. Byron says, "Oh, Jan, by the way, when you get up in the morning, drop back in. Remind me that you were here at the start. See if we're still going. We might be." Depends how long she sleeps. I'm not sure about this. I'm not 100% sure. So Byron says, "I'm planning to film facts videos on this Mississippi and Missouri. Stay tuned." Oh, beautiful, Byron. Coffee time. I'm going to pop myself a coffee on. Better turn it on first. So we've talked about our clotted cream. We are now going to, are we going to start with the scones? No. We're going to start with the little tarts, little pastry. No, we're not doing tarts first off, are we? Yeah. We're doing tarts. So we are going to make a lemon curd tart. These are delicious. So I'll talk you through it. Now, you know, when you go for afternoon tea, you'll often get some savouries, and you'll get, which we are going to do, you're going to get some lovely little sweet tarts. I went out yesterday and got myself a little tart tray that has nice little steep sides. So it's like a mini, what would you call this in the USA? I guess you might call it a patty pan, as I've heard it mentioned many times before. So these have got a nice little bevel. So I think they'll make, once we put a short crust pastry into this, the lovely melt in the mouth short crust pastry, and we're going to fill it with a tart lemon curd. I've got a nice lot of lemons in the fruit bowl back here. So we're gonna fill it with a nice lemon curd, and then we're going to actually make it into a lemon meringue pie. So we're actually going to take the meringues, the eggs. I'm not going to waste the eggs. I'm going to pipe a beautiful little top, and then we're going to bake these in the oven. And they should be just like a little petit four, a little small tart that we can put on to an afternoon tea. So that's going to be the first recipe. Lots of people dropped in. So WTGLB says, "I can't wait to try making it." That's the cake. Katrina LeBlanc says, "Hi, Steve and Michelle." Hey, Katrina. Critter T said, "3 pots, I'll hook you up." That's with the clotted cream again. Yeah. Hi, Critter T. WTGLB says, "I found elderflower cordial on Amazon." Elderflower cordial. It's not so easy to get. You can sometimes get elderflower essence, but this is a British company called Bottle Green. We can get it here in Australia. I think you can get it in most.
From the UK.
It's from the UK. It's actually made in the UK. So look it out. Otherwise, you can always try and find other elderflower flavored things. If you use an elderflower essence, it's pretty intense, and I think it would be too strong. I'm pretty sure there is actually on one of the newspapers, they make a replica of the royal cake, and they actually, strangely enough, it was the Sun paper, so you can't always be sure. That, by the way, is one of the sort of rag papers. But they actually made the royal cake, and they used almost identically my recipe, which is a pound cake, which is one of the most rich and moist cakes that you can use. And they didn't drizzle the sauce in like I did, so I don't think theirs will be as intensely flavoured as ours. But it does sound like there's possibility they are using a cordial as their flavour, although I'm not entirely sure the royal kitchens won't have access to their own elderflowers. Somebody asked me about elderflowers. We used to have them in our little farm where we lived before. They grow like a weed. I mean, they grow in bushes. They start the season around about now, towards the end of this month, maybe beginning of next month. The flowers will come, like a little white flower, like cow parsley, sort of. Is it often called cow parsley? Yeah. So it looks like little cauliflower florets or white parsley. And when the flowers eventually fall off, the little blossoms come off. And those flowers, by the way, you can take them, you can snip them off, and you can boil them up. And because I think they're toxic uncooked. I'm pretty sure they're toxic uncooked. Yeah, a little like, it's not going to necessarily kill you. But you can boil them up, and you can add lemons and sugar to it and make elderflower lemonade. They make elderflower wine. It's a good one if you want to actually take that elderflower and ferment it into an elderflower wine. That's pretty popular.
Yeah, Laurel said Saint Germain is a great elderflower liqueur.
Okay.
Liquor, sorry. And they also say I'm definitely making that cake.
Yeah.
As there's Aussie 3876, I'm definitely going to make it. Thanks for the recipe.
It's a good cake. It's very delicate. Well, when it's hot, it's very delicate.
So Sci-Fi HQ said I'd like to visit England someday.
Well, it's well worth a visit. I think it's a beautiful country. Don't go to London. Well, go to London, but don't focus on London. London is not Britain. You know, it's like Paris is not France. It's like Sydney is not Australia. All the best stuff in the UK is away from the city. Trust me, I really strongly believe that. You know, get yourself down to the West Country, go up to Yorkshire, to the Dales, go walking in the Cotswolds. Not always the Cotswolds, that's a little touristy as well. Get yourself up to Scotland, have a look up there. What a beautiful country.
Down to Cornwall and get the clotted cream.
Down to Cornwall, get clotted cream. Experience clotted cream served with ice cream. If they still do it, when I was a kid, they used to serve the clotted cream ice cream with a big flat paddle, a bit like the Italians serve their ice cream, big flat sort of metal paddle. They'd scoop it, and then they'd scoop it into the clotted cream, and they'd sort of scoop it onto your cornet. And it was the best ice cream you'll ever experience. Clotted cream with vanilla, with good vanilla ice cream. Very simple, but so delicious.
Okay, Raven North says, hi Steve, it's Sean. You changed your name.
Hello, Sean. Good day, mate.
KF Chow said, these two never caught my fancy, I'm afraid. I think they're talking about their royal couple.
Look, I think they're good people. Why not? I mean, they're good people. They're not particularly, there's nothing obnoxious about them. They're nice people, and they seem like they're going to make a nice couple. I think quite often it's very difficult with the royals. They're highly judged because of who they are. And you know, if you take them as individual people, yes, sure, everyone's got their flaws, but they're good people. So, and it's what we have. You can't change it instantaneously. Sure, there's a lot of. I'm gonna froth my milk in a minute. I want a nice cappuccino, so you're gonna have to forgive me on that. It's a long show today, so if it gets a bit boring, don't worry. You can't choose where you're born into. They certainly, the royals, have No financial worries. It's something a lot of people would love to have. Maybe I'll get Michelle to froth it, because I feel like I'm going to stop. Would you mind, sir? That's nice, isn't it? Michelle's in the background frothing the milk. You know, a lot of us would love never to have to worry about where the next dollar comes from, and know that that's going to be in place for our children and our children's children forever infinitum. That is unfair. Clearly, that is unfair. But they don't choose. They don't choose to be born there. That's, you know, that this happens, and I see them as good people. So I think it's a worthwhile event to get behind. Across the board throughout the world, we need a bit more equality. You know, everybody knows that. We all know that there's a great deal of unfair balance between the rich. Let's not get too political. So I like a cappuccino in the morning. It's a little milky. There will be some sort of long pregnant pauses during this show. It's going to happen. If this goes on for 10 hours, I'm not going to put a heart on the top, mainly because I probably wouldn't get it right.
So Karina LeBlanc said it's a muffin pan in the USA. Talking about your little pan. Okay. And Solon says hi.
Hey, Davey.
Karina says, speaking my language, lemon curd and tart.
So this is the muffin cake pan she's talking about. It's very shallow, Karina, though, very, very small one. You could make mini muffins with this. You can see how tiny it is.
Lady G says, lemon curd pie, yummy, yummy. I like mine with custard.
Well, this is going to be a lemon and meringue pie. So, and it's going to be served cold. We're going to be putting it onto a nice little tin. But morning, Shirley, by the way, in case Shirley's around. I said hello today. They may be both watching.
The Macon gal says, we need to get you up to 1 million subscribers. We love you, Steve and Michelle.
Thank you, Kelly. We get there. You know, I suspect because of the way YouTube is, eventually it gets there. But I only want more subscribers if they're as good as you are.
So Raven North says, need more likes. Yes, hit that thumbs up button. We like those.
Yeah, hit the likes. Oh, share this off on Facebook. Tell people we've got a live show. Tell them they can, if they're busy, say come in later on, say hello. I don't know what the numbers are like, the view numbers. We'll try and get that up and down during the day. There'll be times maybe it might be just me and you. Highly likely.
So Raymond North said it's an English version of his other name. I thought you might appreciate something you can say easily. I certainly do.
Rifan Nordre or whatever it was. Yeah. It was tricky. It was tricky, but Raven North, is it?
Raven North today. That's nice and easy. I like that, Sean.
Well done, Sean. It's a bit like Kelly with Jamaican Girls. She's got it all written in strange little. Yeah. It's kind of cool, but at the glance, you gotta be able to read it, haven't you, Kelly?
Lady G says, yeah, I live in London, but Hertfordshire is lovely.
Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire. Sure. It's that we don't say Shire, do we? We say Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire. And
it's a bit like Worcester sauce. You know, there are different counties in the UK, and we call the counties the shires. You know, despite the fact that Lord of the Rings is commonly associated with New Zealand because they filmed it there, it's not. It was based on the shires of Old England, the shires of England, so all the little shires. So we've got your Wiltshire, Hertfordshire, Worcestershire, Gloucestershire, but people don't say that. You know, they tend to say Hertfordshire, although Hertfordshire, but Worcestershire is rarely ever called Worcestershire. We call it Worcester. It's just the way it's been. And Gloucestershire is called Gloucester. So Worcestershire sauce is called Worcester sauce. And Worcestershire sauce, which I've got in the cupboard here.
Karina says, I'll be back later. Must go to bed. Hope you have fun live. Right, Karina?
Good night.
He's got some somewhere.
That's not a proper one. So Worcestershire sauce, which really troubles people around the world when they try to stutter that word out. Just call it Worcester sauce. It's what they call it in Worcester.
Rod Straker says, I live in New Hampshire in the US. How is that pronounced?
New Hants. Hampshire would be called Hants. Hants and Dorset is the local council for the Hampshire and Dorset region of the UK. So Hampshire is Hants, H-A-N-T-S. But they do call it Hampshire, or they actually call it Hampshire. Now, Shire, you've got to go, if you get down that way, you sort of don't go Shire, you go Shire. So it's sort of Shire.
So thank you, Kelly. I've just posted on my Facebook to get more views and hope this helps.
Yeah. Get me saying, so you be New Hampshire. That's where you actually come from, New Hampshire. When I watch this back later on, which I probably won't do, I am going to sound so stupid. So don't forget that. And you would say New Hampshire. You're like New Hampshire, you know, but if you were true to your heritage of where the name comes from, you would call it Hampshire. I'm going to get confused.
So Ignatius C said, what's this here sauce? It's fun to say though.
What's here? This here. There's always, whenever you hear a lot of different nationalities, particularly the Americans, when they try to say Worcestershire sauce, they seem to add about sort of 4 or 5 extra syllables in it, sort of, because it is a tricky word, Worcestershire sauce. And I think because when you see it, it's kind of, I think also because it's spelled W-O-R-C-E-S-T, so it hasn't even got the right letters in it, because it should say Worcester. So yeah, it's Worcester sauce. Trust me, it's much easier to say. Nobody in the UK calls it Worcestershire sauce. It's just too many words.
Syllables.
Too many syllables. Mm-hmm. What weight did we decide to go on the
250 flour.
So we're going to 250, are we?
Butter.
So we're going to go with 250, which is about half a pound?
9 ounces.
9 ounces. So we're going to make a short crust, a simple short crust. I'm not doing anything with machines today. So if you want to make any of these recipes, if you want to make it for the weekend, just to have a bit of fun. So when the royal wedding's on, you can have something traditional, that the sort of things, as I say, that they would serve in Dorchester in London, in the Ritz in London. This is the way to go. So I'm going to get 250 grams of with all-purpose flour. So it's a plain flour. We don't want high gluten. I'll get Michelle to weigh that out for me. If you could just weigh it and give me 250 in the little glass bowl, Michelle. Oh, that bowl's fine. Yeah. So when you're making a short crust pastry, you don't want, first thing, you don't want to overwork it, and you don't want to have high gluten in it, because you don't want to be able to snap the crust. You want it to actually, you know, melt in your mouth. So sometimes, I wonder whether I should use lard. I mean, sometimes I would use with a lemon meringue pie, I would use lard, because it's a lovely savory flavor. Are we about that?
Yeah.
So that's 250. We're not making a lot of it. Thank you, Michelle. I'll do the butter.
Yeah.
So we get a pastry that breaks nicely. 250 grams, that's about 9 ounces. Now, when you're making a short crust pastry, it's about half fat to flour, always. All right. So if you went for a 10 ounce of flour, you go 5 ounces of fat. It's easy to remember. If you go 15 ounce, 7.5 ounce fat, it's that simple. You've got to do it by weight. I always say in America, you've got to invest in a set of cheap scales. They're not expensive. $5, $10, $15 gets you something really super. Try to avoid things that have those little watch batteries in it. They actually end up needing constant replacement. So we're going to put, you put your 250 grams of your flour into your bowl, and I just level my scales here. I've got some butter. I always use salted butter, by the way, in my cooking 9 times out of 10. And I know a lot of people say bake with bacon season, but I haven't got a lot of use for unsalted butter in the kitchen. And if you don't like a recipe cooked with salted butter, then go with unsalted. No recipe that says you should use unsalted or salted butter is correct. You can use what you like. So I like to use salted butter, and I'll adjust my seasoning accordingly. A lot of other people, I see a lot of recipes where they say I use unsalted butter and then put salt in to balance it. And you think, well, why not just use nice salted butter, which you can spread on your toast, rather than have that awful bland butter that nobody can eat. So we were, what did we say, 250. So we're looking at 125 grams of. Now, your blocks are usually marked with a size of 250 grams. So I'm just going to cut this block through the middle.
I've just got a couple more, sorry.
Go on.
Just a couple more comments on Worcester sauce before we finish on that one. Nikki Royal said, I saw a video with an elderly Italian guy trying to pronounce Worcestershire sauce. Let's talk about funny. And Raven North says Worcester sauce.
The Worcester sauce.
And WTGLB said, not difficult for us in Massachusetts. We have a city of Worcester here. Okay,
cool. In Massachusetts, another name, that's one that you can laugh at, because we always trouble with Massachusetts, because that's another really complicated spelling that I think a lot of Brits, Australians, probably the Asian community and also have trouble with. Now look, I cut that down the middle.
Well, Critter T's going to bed. Night,
Critter T. Leslie, see if we're still on when you get up, and if we are, say hello, so I know that you've. I know exactly how long you've been to sleep for. I've weighed that. That's 128 grams. I'm not going to be worried about that. It's close enough. 3 grams is not going to make the difference in a recipe like this. It's a tiny amount. So what I'm going to do, but I'm going to break this up a little bit small. I'm going to get my butter out.
Leslie says, will do.
And I'll just get a soft knife. Don't want to cut. I sharpened my knives yesterday, so they're pretty sharp. I don't want them to. And I'm just going to basically cut this butter up. Always use, now there's loads of recipes out there that say use cold butter. I trouble with this, you know. Cold butter when you're making, and I'll explain to you why that is complete nonsense. When you use cold butter, you try to rub that together with your fingers, or you put it into a food processor, and which overdevelops the gluten generally. You rub that together with your finger, it won't rub because the butter is so cold. So you end up having to go longer to warm the butter up in order to get it in, which develops more gluten. If your butter's at room temperature, you can rub it in really quickly, and you end up with a lovely breadcrumb. You're not having to sort of like massage this. So the concept of cold butter, it doesn't work. I'm totally against it. And even if I was doing it in a food process, no, if I was doing it in a food processor, I would use cold butter. But you're going to see how quickly this is. And I've got all greasy fingers now, but that's going to happen. So let's just see if you're in shot. Yeah. Now, all you do then is just lift those little blocks of butter up, and you rub it. You just rub the flour into the butter, and what's going to happen is the flour sort of integrates into the butter, or it sort of, you know, coats the butter over. And after a minute or so,
just pull the back more towards you a bit.
Okay. So after a fairly short time, you're going to end up, and this is where it's sometimes nicer to be either quite a bit taller or have counters, a nice countertop that's a little bit lower down, so you can keep your arms out straight as you do this. And you're just rubbing, you're just massaging that not hot butter, but slightly soft butter in with. Now, I'm sorry for those of you that know how to bake, and I'm teaching your granny how to suck eggs, as we say. But, you know, it's good for people that don't know that this rubbing technique will give us something that looks a little bit like a breadcrumb. Michelle, would you run that tap, just get it warm, get the water out of the way? Yeah, that's it.
We need cold water for the pastry.
I need warm water for my hands. So does that now, when that runs, does that make a lot of noise? Because later on it'd be nice to know, is that picking up a lot of background noise? Or is that quite acceptable? So that tap, actually, if it goes a little bit closer to the edge of the bowl, it makes a lot less noise. We get there. Technical.
Okay, yeah, Max, just a little noise.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. So we've just rubbed that together. You can already start to see that this is becoming a little bit like a sort of golden sand. It's there's a few little chunks of butter in there. I'm not too worried. Actually, if I was normally doing this myself, I'd spend the extra. What do you mean if I was normally doing this? I am doing it myself.
If you're doing it on your own, no one watching.
I've got time, so I'm actually just going to rub this a little bit longer. I want all of those little bits of butter just to be evenly. If you leave some big chunks in there, they're going to actually show up in the pastry.
So Raven North and Lady G's both say the noise was fine. Noise was fine.
Now I'll just explain. If I actually have this at the edge of the sink like that, it doesn't make so much noise. So quickly, I need a little cardboard cutout of me just stood behind me so that when I go away, it doesn't look as if I've abandoned you all.
Paulina Herrera one says, nice, I love your kitchen.
Thank you. Now, I'm just going to cut this in now with a little bit of cold water. So come back up to me. Come back up to me. Ideally, this should be really icy cold water again. Now we are looking to try to keep the integrity of the pastry together. Have you got the tablespoons around? So what we do is take a little bit of water. I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons in here. This isn't super cold. This is tap water. I should have put some in the fridge. I'm going to put 3 in there. And then I'm going to use, now I might use another couple yet. I'm just going to use a soft edge knife and just start to cut this through.
Paulina says, how long do you think it will take?
To do what?
I don't know. Probably to make the pastry.
This sort of pastry doesn't take long to make. So I'm just cutting it through, okay? I'm not overworking it, just the edge of the knife. And I can start to see the little clumps of pastry balling together. I'm going to put another 1 in there. No, maybe 1 will do me. If you don't want to make your pastry too wet, if it's too wet, things get very ugly very quickly. Now, I don't know if Michelle, we have thought out the cutters.
Not for that size of it. We will.
So, Tammy, you know all about this. I know a lot of you out there know all about your pastry making and things. Anyway, it's good to have you along. Now I'm going to get my hand in there. I'm going to bring that camera down so you can see. Now I'm going to get my hand in there and I'm just going to start to pull this together. It still looks a bit crummy, but you'll see if I put enough water in there that this will start to bind together. Now it's possible that I do need just a little splash more. So I'm just going to, I'm right at the bottom of my bowl now, so I'm just going to put a little splash more of water just to start to draw this together. Just a little dry at the bottom. See if I can get a proper scoop out of this water, just a tiny bit. You can't take the water out, so don't go putting, you know, an extra 2 tablespoons of water in. You can see my pastry now is starting to pull away nicely from the side of the bowl. What's the quality of this? You know, we have got really poor internet here in Australia, where we are. Not everybody, but many places in Australia have really poor internet. I should chill this down first, do you think, Michelle?
Yeah. Yo-Yo Max 12 says, yes, once it gets to a coarse oatmeal texture, bring it together. And Petrie784 says, can you use the same technique to get a good pie crust?
This is a pie crust, yeah. This is exactly how you should make a pie crust. And whether you're using a sweet pie crust or a savoury pie crust, the technique is exactly the same. Now, I'm actually going to chill this. I'm going to pop it into the freezer. No, I'm good then, Sean. I've got time, and I can chat to you all. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a plastic wrap, and I'm going to wrap this up and pop it. Oh, I've made it a bit small. That's because we're frugal in the kitchen. Michelle's grabbed that off me. Should we go in the freezer for a little while?
Just for here. Don't
overdo it though. I don't like putting it in the freezer because you can very quickly end up with a dough that's just going to crack. So these things actually became that interesting and help me. Have been very kind and helped me, but to put something in the fridge, I think I can cope with that.
So Sean said, would this work for a meat pie then?
This is perfect for a meat pie. If I was making a meat pie, is that Sean? Yeah. If I was making a meat pie, I would get lard, and I have some lard in there, but I've decided to keep this simple with going butter. Lard is an animal rendered fat. When you make a meat pie, do exactly the same. Nothing nicer than, unless you're doing a cold pastry, what's the pastry called that's with the boiled water?
Hot water pastry.
Hot water pastry, which is different. That's for like a pork pie, Melton Mowbray pork pies and things. That's a little more dense. But for a regular meat pie, yes, this is exactly what you would use.
Tammy says, I usually use lard. It's much more forgiving.
Yeah, lard. I love. Tammy, I was going to put lard in this, and I've actually got some, but it's my own rendered lard that I made from a roast that we did. And I'm sometimes a little wary when you use rendered lards from your own meat, that they can be a little too meaty in flavour. And I don't want to affect these tarts. Not that any of you are going to be able to try these, sadly enough, but you know, I'm not sure if I want sort of roast pork coming through on the taste of my beautiful lemon meringue tarts.
So you're using this sort of pastry instead of a sweet pastry because the lemon meringue tarts are quite sweet, aren't they?
Now, I've said this with my Christmas tarts when I make mince pies and things at Christmas time. I think it really works well to have no sugar in your short crust pastry. Now, I do actually do 2 or 3 versions of mince pies at Christmas time, and I do like the sweet short crust pastry, but I really like the savoury short crust pastry, because what happens is when you get that sweetness, the sweet tartness of the meringue and the sweetness of the lemon curd with that slightly savoury crust, they just work well together. It's just perfect. If we put sugar into our pastry and then we've got sugar on this, it's just one great big sort of syrupy, sugary mouthful. And there's nothing complex happening in your mouth to sort of say, wow, this is really good. And it's what makes the difference between an outstanding pie and an average pie, particularly with sweet stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but just to have the juxtaposition of sweetness, sourness, savory, crunch, softness, cold, hot. Those are the things that make a meal really important. When you see all these fancy chefs doing things, they're often trying to incorporate not only smells with textures, with temperatures, with things. It's what makes cooking outstanding. If everything's just sweet, and it's why a lot of chocolate bars particularly have sold well over the years. You know, you've got chocolate, which is fat, sweetened cocoa chocolate wrapped around a sort of like a caramel bar or something like that. You've always got that sort of that crack of the chocolate on the outside, that sort of buttery fatness that runs around on your tongue, and then that sweet hit of a caramel or nougat or a Babe Ruth. And that's why they're so popular. There are things that are better than chocolate bars, as we know, but it is a combination. I mean, and it's why some chocolate bars don't work. You sometimes get a chocolate bar that's just just a block of nothing that's all smooth. Anyway.
So Raven North, this is going back to lard, said, okay, so something like a Crisco.
Crisco we don't have, and I always get confused whether Crisco is a coconut fat. Is it a coconut fat?
Or is it a vegetable shortening? I'm sure.
Tammy, do you use Crisco in short crust? I think you probably can. I would use butter. You can use Crisco if it's recommended. I've got a feeling they do use Crisco in there. But if Crisco is quite hard and if it's a coconut oil.
Yes, yeah, so Tammy says Crisco is vegetable shortening here. But it was,
yeah.
So it's like the coconut.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use our versions of Crisco that we have here, because the fat it goes from its solid state to its liquid state really quickly.
It's very soft like lard.
Okay, well then no. Our coconut fat. What is the brand that we have here? Coffer. Coffer is not great. We have over here that's called Coffer. I don't like it for short crust because actually it goes from it never goes to that sort of soft state. It goes from being solid to almost water in a very short time, and that can cause gluten to develop in your pastry and make quite a tough pastry. Also, when it bakes, it can often be a little bit greasy. So do we know what we're doing today? Michelle and I have thought this through, and I'm thinking to myself, what comes next? I went through last night and I said, okay, so this is the order we're going to cook things in. Well, we've got, by the way, a southern fried chicken taco with fresh masa planned later on. And I have, a lot of people have asked me about my masa experiments. I have perfected homemade masa, fresh nixtamalized masa, and I'm going to be using it today. I'm not going to be showing you how to make it, but I am working on that video for you. And to me, Mexican food, masa and mole, they're the quintessential ingredients in what makes Mexican food. And I know by incorporating really nice tacos into this royal menu, not technically, I want to give a nod to the USA. And I think actually tacos and things like that, Mexican food culture is really strong in the USA. So I hope that's a good enough. I'm also doing some southern fried chicken, my version of a southern fried chicken, and that's going to be delicious. That later on today. We've got some good things planned. You want to check that pastry and see if it's chilling? I'll get Michelle to check it, because if I go off camera, we need like a sign here. Okay. Some sort of sign to say Steve, be back soon.
A little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
I want to make little paper things to go, rice to go into.
Yeah, we are going to blind bake. And I thought we're traveling. We're traveling all over the world. This is not our house we're in at the moment. This is somewhere we're staying. I thought we bought our blind baking beads, but don't worry. You can use rice. You could use lentils. I'm going to make, we go from a cooking channel now to an arts and craft channel. So I'm going to put you down here for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some strips of baking paper, about the size of my my tarts here. And what I'm going to do is just cut them into squares. I'll show you one or two of them. I'll just cut them roughly into squares, approximately the size of each patty tin. Then what I'm going to do is just fold them, and fold them so they're tiny little points. I'm going to guesstimate the size. I'm just going to nip off the corner like that. And what I've got then, when I unroll that, is a little circle that I can pop my rice into to blind bake these pies. And what the reason? Okay, back up here. Do you want to see more of that? Okay, we'll do a little bit more. This one was a bit of an awkward shape, you saw, so doesn't take long, or you make a mistake. See, that's what happens when you're not concentrating. You've always got to keep folding to the corner. And I was very conscious that last piece was actually irregular in shape. So you roughly take it, a little nip off, and that gives you your little circle. So So I'm going to make, back up to me. You see what I did there? I think I folded it because I was chatting to you, and I folded it the wrong way, and then cut off the wrong end. So I ended up with half a circle. Do you ever do that when you were a kid? You know those little men you used to make at Christmas time? You had to cut you fold the paper over, and then you draw half a man or half a woman on the paper, and then you cut it out. Did you ever do that as children? And then when you open up the paper, you've got this big long string of guys all sort of holding hands, or girls holding hands like this. And did you ever cut the wrong side out and you open it up and just had like a big pile of half people? I think I did that 9 times out of 10. I think my bedroom floor was always scattered with sort of like half people.
I have to say that I never did that.
Did you never do that?
No, I always cut them out.
Oh, she was cutting perfectly. Yeah, she would. Michelle, you could say that. Did you never cut them wrong?
Occasionally, yeah.
Oh, there, see? It's coming out now. What's the comments coming through? Anybody fessing up?
Yeah, Matt says, well, yes, 9, 10 for half people.
Yeah, exactly, Tammy. I was in the camp of the half people camp. So my poor little bedroom floor, when I was coming out to show the family, oh, look what I've done. I was always going to end up with these sort of like, you know, hiding away in the garbage can, like loads of little half people that sadly I think they were always like half a person holding on to half a person.
Yes.
So it was true. So I'm making my little papers, because if I put rice into once I roll this pastry out, I'm going to add some rice in just to stop the pastry from exploding away from the pan. And if I just put rice in there and don't put a little bit of baking paper in there, the rice will stick. Trust me, it will stick to the pie. You won't be able to get it out. It'll be very messy.
So Sean says, I've done it too, some on purpose for Halloween.
The Walking Dead Christmas men. Did any of you catch my Walking Dead gingerbread men? Man, I worked so hard on that video. I don't think anybody watched it.
You had fun, though.
I had fun. I made these gingerbread men. Made them all sort of like creepy Walking Dead. And I was staying in with an uncle of mine in the UK, in the west of England. And they'd gone away for a week, so we were at their place, and I did it in their house. So thank you for that, Clive, Lynn. If you ever get to watch this.
So Tammy said that she did zombie gingerbread too. Things you do.
I know, the things we do, Tammy. The great thing is, though, Tammy, we don't have to grow up like the rest of the world, do we?
Beverly Nicholson said, I watched it.
I wonder, Tammy, sometimes I think Max enjoys what you do, so it's kind of cool. And actually, my kids enjoy what I do. So I was about to say, do they ever sort of think, you know, are you ever going to grow up? But no, I think the kids actually quite enjoy it, because life's too short to be too serious. Could you chuck the AC on? I'm getting a bit warm in here today. It's going to be another scorcher of a day here in Perth. Should I have done these before?
I'm just waiting for this to cool.
Just a second. Just telling Michelle not to, but the other day we were doing something live and I said, oh, I'm so hot, can you put the AC on? And she hit the wrong button and we turned the heating on. So I'm sat there, I'm thinking, it's getting hotter, you know, it's getting hotter. And I was sort of like perspiring. I think it was it a live show again?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't do many live shows, but.
Tammy said it's supposed to be fall winter there.
Yeah.
That's why we had the heating on this morning and now we need the AC.
It was chilly this morning. You know, when we talk about winter, Tammy, we're not your winters. Our winters are quite warm. You know, we'll be lucky to get down to I'm not sure what it is in Fahrenheit, but we're lucky to get down to sort of 12 degrees. I mean, it will get colder. Oh, I'm getting a little bit big with these. I'm not paying attention. But today it's going to get up to probably about 82 Fahrenheit, Tammy. So not cold. And when you're in the sun's as bright as it is, it's hitting the windows. If you could see over there, it's, let me just turn to Michelle a moment. You see how bright the sun is? Really bright. See my little friend down there? Nico. You want to see my little friend? Oh, Michelle can bring. I'm handling food. Look at this little cutie. It's a little Chihuahua that we're looking after, and she is gorgeous. I won't touch her because I'll have to wash my hands. She's very, 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 very well behaved. Such a cutie. I'm really loving Chihuahuas. I've become, you know, it would be nice. We travel too much. It would be nice to have our own little pets, but because we travel so much, we can't.
So Sean says, come visit me in the winter, Steve. And Tammy says, are you on May 17th there, still late the 16th here? Yes, it's May 17th. It's 11:15 in the morning. Yeah, it's May
17th, virtually midday. So we're actually, by powers of time travel, we're ahead of you the whole day. So it's tricky with us and the USA because it really is a real hard time difference. I mean, as you can see, this is about as early as we like to start things in the morning. And everybody, all our friends, and we have many friends in the USA, are all gone to bed. So our waking time is when everybody else is up. Did you take the papers away? Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Tammy says a full 12 hours.
Yes. Yes. So if we get an 8-hour sleep, most of that time, everybody in the US is up and about doing things. So
Kelly says, Making Girl says, I remember when I was in infant school in the UK, making a snowflake where you fold the square into 5s and cut a circle and cut notches to make the holes for snowflakes.
That's right, yeah. I remember those, Kelly. They were really intricate, right? You could work out, and I used to do those wrong as well. I'd end up with, because you can get half a snowflake with those as well, right? Yeah, I did that. Wasn't good. Really? Girls are much better at that. They seem to be much more methodical. And just Michelle's much better at those sort of things. There's no real girl and boy differences, but certainly I tend to find the girls are more astute when it comes to that sort of stuff.
So Raven North says it's 23:16 here. And Paulina Herrera says 2015 here.
Man, it's 2017 to 2018 here. You guys are you're years behind us. You're talking about the hour 2018, 2016.
Is it 2015? I said 2018.
2015. 2015. And you're years behind us. We're traveling years ahead of you. So 20 is 8:15, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to get my pastry out. We'll ask Michelle to get it out. In the meantime, Michelle, oh, she's got it out. That clotted cream is going to go in the fridge. I'm going to pop it in there quickly.
So Raven North says, why do we only have 17 likes? Should be 100 by now. I've got 26 on mine.
Like, mash that like button. Now, my pastry, because it's been in the freezer, I think it's still a little bit warm. I'd like to chill this for an hour, to be honest. Have a little feel of that. Just see if you think that's going to hold together. And the actual pastry, just a little pinch. I think it is.
Yeah, it's cool, quite cool. Okay. There's some flour there.
So I'm going to add a little bit of flour to my countertop, just a fine dusting. This is going to make things ever so messy, isn't it? Once you start working with flour, and I'm talking about, you know, a whole day's cooking in the kitchen, I'm probably going to break this in half and work with a small, because I don't think we're going to even need all of this. So take my pastry, don't overwork it, a little bit of flour on top, little on my, I haven't got my wooden, I prefer my wooden rolling pin. This is the pin I got for you for doing cake baking. So I'm just going to roll this out. It's a little bit dry. Now, I probably, because I was struggling to get my tablespoons out of that, I think I would have gone a little bit. I tell you what, it doesn't take much before you're overwatered. So I'm okay with this.
The making girl says, best times ever of my childhood. I also love to make origami cubes, big to small. I'd love to create 3D and draw too. A left-handed specialty.
Yeah. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. So we're going to roll this pastry out. Now, this rolling pin is way too big for this countertop. So I'm having to, let's move it over here, skirt a few. I've only got about a foot square countertop to work with, which is a bit frustrating. And my pastry is a little bit dry. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. The pastry is actually going to bake and dry out. But you would have possibly wanted a little thinner, a little more liquid in there. So I've put my papers onto the side. A little crank handle over here. These are great for lifting your pastries. There's a little crank handle. They're made by Ateco. Ateco, how do you say it?
We're just going to write Ateco and then we're just going to say it again.
And we're going to try and correlate our cuts so we get as many out of this as I can.
That's right, Tammy, an offset spatula.
Yes, that is right. Isn't that cool? How many am I going to get out of this? Oh, not bad. So I'm going to take my little pastries, my little offset spatula. Whoops, that didn't cut all the way through. My little offset spatula into my pie case and gently just ease it into place. Can you see the pie case? Yes.
Raymond Mill says the bent thingy.
I think I'm a little thick on my pastry, Michelle. What do you think?
No, I think that'll be all right.
Be all right?
Yeah, yeah, because you're going to have a lot of sweet on that.
Tammy, isn't it much harder? Tammy's Yo-Yo Max, by the way, in case anyone's everyone knows Yo-Yo's channel. I hope anyway. You should all be subscribed to Yo-Yo. She's an absolute sweetheart. But Tammy, isn't it always much harder to do this stuff live than it is, or with cameras? Sometimes when you bake stuff that you can do over and over and over again, then you try to do it on camera, you end up having to do it dozens of times. And then you're moving cameras around as well. You're very conscious. It's a lot trickier. You see, I haven't even cut through there. You'd never do rookie mistakes like that if you were doing this with no pressure. Now, what's going to happen, because I've got butter in this pastry, it's not overworked. See how thick they are? They're about maybe 2 millimeters, a little under 1/4 inch thick. The pastry can't be too thin. I'm not going to reuse this little bit of pastry here. I'll save that for another project. I'm going to take a second piece of my first pastry, get a little bit of flour again on the surface. I only need 4 more circles, so it shouldn't be too hard to do. Tiny sprinkle of flour on the top. But yeah, isn't it just the case that everything is so much more complicated? For instance, I've got to move that completely off my counter now because my rolling pin is too wide. And I wouldn't normally, if you were baking at home, you wouldn't have these issues, mainly because you probably give yourself a bit more space. You wouldn't have half your countertop taken up with camera. And this rolling pin is not good for rolling pastry. I'll tell you why. Because of the width, it's rocking. Now you can get them with the little bands on the outside, so you can set the thickness. But I would be going for about a little under, about 1/4 inch.
which
I think is about 2.5 millimeters.
Tammy says, I've only done one recipe live. It's very difficult to make a recipe on video without editing. Baking without filming is so easy.
Yes, baking without. I remember, Tammy, you can probably relate to this strongly, just how much harder it is to do. I made a gingerbread house, and I think you made a gingerbread house a few years ago as well. I did it on camera, and I've made them many times before, but doing it on camera, it took me days. It took me absolutely days to make. I think it was 3 days. Something that we'd normally do in a day. Now, a gingerbread house on its own is a fairly big project, but when you decide to do it for an audience on camera and you're trying to capture everything, and actually my son helped me, my youngest son helped me make that particular recipe, so he does appear briefly in that video. Quick washing my hands, you'll hear the tap, get the dust off of there. So yeah, it does take an absolute age. I'm just tidying up. I've got all my pastries in there. Let's just get some of this flour off the countertop. Again, because I don't want it all on the bottom of my muffin tray.
La Patrona Cake says hey and gives you a wave.
Hey.
And Raven North says, Steve, I appreciate how you explain things. You don't overdo it and you teach well.
Thank you.
And Tammy said, I usually make a gingerbread house every year. I film all of them, but you can't film every step. The video will be an hour long. You have to make a shortened version for sure. Yes, you do. And filming it's a pain, isn't it? Because the concept of the gingerbread house is, it can be quite lengthy. I think I did it in 3 sections, Tammy. So I did. Let's come back down here so you can see. I'm just easing my pastries into the paddy pan, the muffin tin. Just, I don't want any little bubbles under there, so if I can just use, you can actually use a little cloth. It's quite a good thing. If you've got something that's is clean, you can kind of push it in there and just sort of shape it around. If you've got nails like I have, and I do get into bother occasionally for my nails, but I can't cut them really short because then I can't play guitar. So I think I've said this many times before. I'm just getting my papers. If you've got a little edge to your nails, my nails are like screwdrivers, they're so hard. It's easy to mark your pastry, so you've got to be a little careful. Easy to mark your pastry cutouts. It's funny, I do get comments. They don't bother me. I'm not that bothered. I used to at first. I used to try to justify, why you don't keep your nails super sharp, and I don't chew them down to the sort of the quick. But it doesn't bother me anymore. But where was I going with that? You just said about your nails. So put the oven on.
Yeah, let's just pop the oven, preheat it.
So Tammy said, I'm going to bed. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. It's a pleasure watching and chatting with you both. Good night. Good night, Tammy.
Night, Tammy.
I'm back in the morning.
Drop in the morning, Tammy. See if you've got a moment. Just see if we're still going. I suspect we might have finished, but there's a chance because I've got a lot to do today. So I'm just putting my little pieces of paper now on top of my pastry. Come back down here, you can see. So I'm just popping these little bits of paper and I'm going to weigh them down. By doing that, when I blind bake these, in other words, I'm baking them without blind bake means to bake things without the sauce or the contents in, and that's really just to dry the pastry out. If you put your stuff in and don't blind bake it, you will end up with a soggy pastry. And now, so what we do is we bake them. What temperature are we doing? 180? 180 degrees is about 350 Fahrenheit. So you bake them in a moderate to hot oven. And yeah, I might use a teaspoon because I'll probably end up overdoing it. So just come back down here again. So you bake them in a moderate to hot oven, 180 degrees Celsius. Would you call that moderate to hot?
Yeah, hot. Raven Mill says, if both of you have a phone, you could film 2 views at once, and then Michelle could fly the drone for an overhead shot. Have you ever seen me fly the drone?
I'm going to pour it. It's going a lot better. I might overdo it, but hey ho. Yeah, that sounds like a very easy solution. Drone in the kitchen. I did fly the drone indoors once, almost took the ceiling down. Scraped up all the ceiling. Almost lost my propellers. It does work. It's not, those drones are pretty cool. So I'm just, this is much easier if you've got little ceramic beads. And actually, I probably prefer lentils to rice because they're a little bulkier.
But if you do use rice, you can always just keep it and keep it for a while blind baking.
Now the idea, yes, sorry. Wait. The idea is now that we're weighting down the pastry, so that when we bake it, it isn't going to bubble and blister.
Okay, we've got a bit of an issue here. We've only got 11% on this laptop. It's plugged in and it's got lights on. Okay. I need my tech man to help me.
No, that is an issue because is anything else running in the background? Turn the brightness down quite a bit as far as you can comfortably. We had a failure the other day. These MacBook chargers are terrible. The fact that you pay so many thousands of dollars for these, and
the shop's open.
close anything that's running like that. So what happened is my charger has packed in just the day before yesterday. So now we're having to share a charger, but Michelle's MacBook is a bit smaller. This could get a little bit boring for you all. It doesn't quite have the juice. Oh, I hope you don't end up failing the live show because of electricity. Is anything else open that you can close down just to drain off?
Close.
So Michelle's
Firefox, no close.
Yeah. So Michelle's going to close some things down on the laptop so that we don't lose power because it's obviously draining too much power. There's nothing you can't close, Michelle, just the thing. So 180 degrees. We've got to bring that oven up to temperature. I'll get Michelle back on the questions very shortly. I'll put my milk away and left it out.
Yes, so Raven Mill said, good way to get a haircut with the drone, flying it indoors.
Good way to get your fingers cut. I think my friend Dave Sorlin, who's got a great guitar ukulele channel, by the way, do check him out. Dave actually, when he first got his drone, he's got the same drone as me, cut his finger, and he tried to grab the drone, and I did the same thing. So yes, it is a great way to get cuts.
Yeah, when you were trying to crack an egg.
How's that running now?
Okay. Well, I don't know yet.
Just check where that percentage goes up.
Gonna really...
Michelle, come and have a chat with people. I'll have a look at the computer. I'm the technician. Say hello.
Hello. So now I've got to have a chat with you. That's not so good, is it? You've got to put up with me. I've been looking to see whether I could find something else to charge it with, but we haven't. You can't swap out those chargers, can we?
No.
So, just got to wait for your oven to heat up.
So if that's not charging, have a look what else we can.
I closed everything I could. Slight technical hitch here.
Hi, Rana.
Oh, Stephen can do the comments now.
Rana's just come in.
We can't swap it over onto mine, can we?
No, we can't. I'm hoping. Okay, that's going up now.
Oh, good. Fingers crossed, everybody.
So it went from 8 to 9%.
Keep an eye on it. When we get to 5, we're in trouble.
Dramas.
No, Jamaican girl, I would not like my own cooking channel.
She might.
No.
No, she wouldn't. So we're going to blind bake these, what we say, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
10, I think, because they're only small, aren't they?
They're very small. We don't normally blind bake such small tartlets. So I don't want it to go too brown, but I do want it to dry out a little bit. So I'm going to go 10, maybe 12, 11 minutes. We're going to take these out. And then I'm going to make a lemon curd, or I'm going to make the lemon curd with you very shortly. And then we're going to take some egg whites. going to be using the yolks and the whites, and we're going to make a lovely meringue topping for these. So for those of you that have just joined, I've had no breakfast, so I'm sustaining on elderflower and lemon drizzle cake.
Raymond says, I burned jello once as a kid. How can you burn jello? You did it in a pan. You've got flour here.
Who is it? What's the saying? I'm such a bad cook, I can burn water.
I should have tidied up when I was stood there.
Yeah, no worries. So we should have put our oven on a little bit earlier.
I put the powder in the pot before the water.
That'll happen, particularly with animal-based gelatine, then you've got a mess. And with vegetable-based gelatine, to be honest, there's no difference. So any questions? While we've got a little pause while we're waiting for the oven to come up to temperature. You want to go back through the questions, see if anyone's left anything there, with anything hanging?
I think I've been good.
So is anyone going to do anything this weekend? Are you planning on watching the royal wedding? Is that on the agenda? Will many of you be watching it? Now, there's a bit of a lag, I know, so when I ask a question, it takes about 10 seconds to come through onto the computer. So I do have to wait. Will any of you be watching it?
Nobody's talking to you.
Nobody.
Nobody wants to talk to you now.
Talk to me now. We're definitely going to have...
So Raven Lord says, not planning to myself.
No. Anyway, why would you want to when you've got Steve's Kitchen to watch? I'm not sure I have anything that clashes with the royal wedding. Let's just see how we're doing on the temperature. No, we're nowhere near it.
So Beverly Nicholson says, going to try and stream it here. Do you remember what you were doing for Diana and Charles's wedding? We had a street party for that.
Yeah, there was a time you could get people out on the streets for parties and things like that. Back in the 1970s, you could do, there was the Silver Jubilee, and that was a time when almost everybody in every street all over the place were getting out and having these big street parties. I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but you were, there were tables down the streets, people were doing this. By the Golden Jubilee, it was nothing. I mean, there was maybe 4 or 5 street parties. I think it's very much harder in this day and age to motivate people. And I know this could be sort of for political reasons, but I don't think it is for political reasons, to actually motivate people to get and do things socially. I think it kind of corresponds with this horrible sort of cycle we are in, where it's all about trying to pay your mortgage nowadays. And back in the sort of 70s, there was still that community feeling where people could still afford to live. So people put time aside, they were more content. Does that sound a little bit grumpy? It's true, though. I mean, it really is true. I remember being in a town, a friend of mine in his town in Bath, which is west of England, and we were comparing. It was the time of the Golden Jubilee, the Queen's Golden Jubilee, and we were just noting how that same street he had photographs on the same street of the Silver Jubilee, which I think was in 70-something. The street was adorned with bunting and everybody was out just having a great time. And by the time the Golden Jubilee, which would have been 25 years later, just every car on the street had gone to work. Nobody had a street party. There wasn't a street party in the whole of Bath, Bath is a pretty, staunch sort of royalist part of the town, but people are just too busy. Life had become so wrapped up in work and getting their mortgages paid. So that's a little bit sad.
Paulina Herrera said, you should do another live on Friday.
No.
Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow for me. That's in about 12 hours time. I can sense already that the thing that might call this thing to an end will be my voice going.
To drink lots of water.
When I have a bathroom break, Michelle will come and cover for me.
So Jamaican Girl says, definitely watching the wedding on BBC One here in the UK or on iPlayer if I miss it. I hope it doesn't rain on the day. Good.
Kelly, just have fun. Just enjoy. You know, there are lots of other people who will be having weddings that Saturday as well. I'm certain of it. And, you know, I wish them all the best. Hope they have a wonderful day. I hope the weather turns out really good. It generally does this time of year. What are we in now?
May's usually good.
Yeah, I mean, the April showers have gone. You're getting close to sort of flaming June, as they say, where the weather can be fairly continually good.
That's the month for weddings, isn't it, in the UK?
Yeah, June is a popular month for weddings in the UK. Here in Australia, people often have them in the winter months, more towards, because it's we're the other side of the earth. So, you know, now we would be in our winter around Christmas time. What can we talk about also? Whilst my oven comes up to temperature, we could talk about why I didn't put the oven on, but then there's a lot to do today, and I suspect there'll be quite a few of these periods where I forget to put things on. I have got, though my frying pan is taking up the time. Oh, pop it over there. I have bought myself a stool in case things get a little bit too hectic. I can always go a little bit Valdunican on you and sit down and have a little chat. So I want to tell you a story. Jackanory, boom, boom. But I haven't got there yet. So I reckon that oven is going to be close to done. I'm going to pop it in there now. And we are going to bake those for about 10 minutes. I'm going to use Google. Hey, Google, give me 10 minutes.
Sure, 10 minutes.
Can you hear that? So Google is going to give us a little beeper. And 10 minutes might not be long enough. I'll keep an eye on them at the same time. I'm actually using the non-fan oven. This oven has two options. You can use fan or non-fan. I prefer the air not to be blowing around. Sometimes it makes little hot spots and half the tray will cook quicker than the others.
11% for going up.
Disaster diverted?
Yes.
By turning the light down on the computer and shutting down everything that was running on it, basically the charges started to go back up on the laptop. It was getting dangerously low.
It's a bird.
The little dog has just seen a bird in the garden. So yes, we're blind baking those pies. Now, Michelle, I've got to get and make a curd. Should I get and make it now?
You can start to make it now, huh?
I am going to make a lemon curd filling to go in my pie. Because we want the tartness, I am using fresh lemons.
3 of those.
3 lemons.
3 lemons.
And how is that worth it? Because we're not making a lot of curd. Could I halve this recipe?
We can try making 12.
I'm going to make a little amount of curd because I already can see by the pastry that I made that I've made way too much pastry, and I don't want to waste product just for the sake of it. So, Michelle, I have a little recalculation of the recipe I wrote down last night, and we'll try to. So I'm going to make a very small amount of lemon curd. Imagine now you're at the Ritz, the guy's coming out with the tray for you, or the bringing out the little afternoon tea set, and probably on the top tier of the counter. Where's our little tea set?
In the cupboard, just by under the draining board.
In here. Okay. So they're coming out. Bring your afternoon tea, and just sat on the top, there's 3 beautiful little lemon and meringue tartlets, hopefully with a meringue just slightly browned on the top. That's what we're going for.
Put that over here, so no.
That'll be right there for now. So I don't need a lot of lemon. So I'm going to go with, I might even get away with using 1 lemon. How does that divide down to 1/3? It's too small quantities to work with, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be okay. This is because you've got 2 eggs in this, so it should be all right.
We will be adding all the ingredients at a later date so people can check if they want to make these. But, you know, if you're watching, you can follow along. Should I go with half? Half?
So 1.5 lemons. Yeah. I'm halving it. I've halved it.
Okay.
Zest as well, to do the zest.
So I'll go with the white one, shall I think it makes a better zest. You need the zest off of your lemon to get that real sort of bite of lemon in there. If you're going to go with the natural lemon, don't use that lemon packet lemon stuff. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You want fresh lemons, so they have to be in season. So the first thing we want to do is get our...
So corn flour and your water and your sugar and your lemon juice, I think, in the pan.
So we're going to make an emulsion up with corn flour. So just give me the numbers, Michelle.
So
could you calculate
1.25 tablespoons
of corn flour?
Yep.
1.25 tablespoons. Are the measurements going to get really tricky?
No, it's all right.
So 1.25 tablespoons of corn flour. This is the thickening agent. We are also going to be using egg yolks, which is also a thickening agent, but we really do need to be safe with this one. So 1.25 of corn flour.
1/4 cup of sugar. 1/4 cup of water.
And 1/4. So just regular granulated sugar into the bowl. 1/4 cup of water.
Yeah.
Shall I get the camera down so you guys can see what I'm doing? Whee. So water, because we're making a syrup. Put our lemon zest in there now.
Lemon zest and juice of 1.5.
So I've got my lemons here. I'm using a microplane. I do think these work quite well with the lemon zest. If you want, you don't want to go too deep into the zest and get the pith in there. But the lemon zest is vitally important for this recipe. It's going to give us all the sort of bite that we need. This is quite a lumpy lemon, quite a knobbly sort of surface on it, so tricky getting all the zest off. This is not a live video. This is not like Steve's Kitchen where you get to see it all in a few moments. So sorry about that, but hopefully you're enjoying it anyway. How many of you are just going to run this in the background while you get on with the day's things? That would be kind of nice. So I've got plenty of lemon zest in there now, but I want the juice as well. So I'm just going to cut this lemon in half. I haven't got a proper juicer. So can you give me that? No, I'll just get the pips. I wonder whether the big sieve, whether I just catch the pips. Ordinarily, I would just do this into my hand, but I want to get as much of this juice out as possible. So I'm just going to stick a fork in there and I'm going to wiggle it. And yes, you can roll the lemon around at the start just to help it, but it doesn't make actually a massive amount of difference. Back up to me. Last thing you want to see, you got the gist. So we're just basically getting all that lemon juice in there. We'll be using lemons later on. We're actually going to make a fresh strawberry jam to go with our scones. So that'll be later. And we need lemons, because any of you who have made jams or jellies in the past know that strawberry jam particularly doesn't set very well. But lemons and lemon pips in particular have really high content of pectin. So we can use the pips. I might keep the pips from here, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to make, none of you, who's going to be making lemon meringue pies at the same time they're doing strawberry jam? There's only 2 pips.
No, one used yesterday, the day before, about 10.
I don't think I'll save these pips. So I've got 1 lemon. Most of the juice is squeezed out of there. I'm going to take an extra half of a lemon. This one will probably have all the pips in. Oh yeah, this is a very juicy one. Lots of liquid coming out of this one. Am I missing anything out of my ingredients at the moment, Michelle?
You've got corn flour, water, sugar, and lemon juice and zest. So you've got to bring that to the boil.
Now, when we bring this up to heat, you've got to be careful that you stir it all the time. You don't want it just to coagulate into one big lump. I am going to keep my pips because I might want them for my strawberry jam later on. So there you are. We've got lemon juice in there. We've got corn flour. We've got a little whisk. Ooh, just to break that up. Actually, I think I'll use a wooden spoon. Might be easier. Over to the heat. Put it on. I've got the high heat there, but I'm going to put it on the lowest heat possible. So you want this on a medium-sized ring, or if you've got it like I have on the high heat, you want to turn it fairly low down. Now, as you know, corn flour or arrowroot, you could use actually arrowroot as well. We do have arrowroot, we could have used that, which give you a slightly less cloudy appearance, is a thickening agent. So as it heats, as it gets up to the simmering or boiling temperature, that is going to thicken quite considerably. And then we are going to let that cool down a little bit before we actually add egg yolks. Yes, you could, Michelle.
And not for 10 minutes for your pies.
10 minutes for my pies. Let's have a little look. I'm going to give it just a minute or so more. They haven't started to colour on the edge, those blind bake tart cases. I don't want them to colour very much, but I'm just going to let them go a little bit more, maybe another 30 seconds to a minute. They're up to temperature now, so it's all good. I wish YouTube didn't have all these copyright issues, because I'd just put a bit of music on and entertain you for a while I rest my voice. How many eggs do you calculate for this one, Michelle?
2.
2.
You want 2 yolks.
So we've reduced our recipe down a little bit. We've reduced the recipe down from our original recipe because we were making a larger block, but I see from the size of these tart cases that to make too much lemon curd would be pointless. I hope we've made enough.
You just make less, just fill this.
That's all we have, haven't we?
It's okay.
We probably haven't made enough, which is okay. I'll get Michelle on in the background making another little batch. That's good. Pop questions there. Michelle will be around to ask them in a moment. As I suspected, we're getting less and less space around. Have a little look down here.
You want it over there?
See?
Butter in.
This kitchen has not a lot of space.
Because you're Raggy popping in for a few minutes.
Hey, Rags. Hey there. Raggy's on tour at the moment, doing all sorts of gigs. So now what I've got here, I'm trying to think. Jerry Lee Lewis, Raggy, you said think Jerry Lee Lewis, Big Bopper, something along those sort of lines. Raggy's doing a tour. You should check out his channel, by the way. He is a heap of fun. Always good to see you in, Raggy. We're making all sorts today. I'll just explain to you, Raggy. We've already talked about clotted cream, which I've got cooking up in the background. I've got one of them. I'll just show you it in the fridge over here. It's chilling down. So this is freshly made clotted cream, which is going to be served later on with some scones and some homemade strawberry jam. We've just got some little pie cases. Raggy, don't let me forget them. In the oven. I'm going to take those out now. Just emergency. Slipping away. Wow. They don't want to slide out. There we go. Because that's a brand new baking tray, it's slippery as an eel. No, I can't get hold of it. We've got some little blind bake cases. We are going to make little beautiful, delicious lemon and meringue pies, which I'm going to pipe some meringue onto, and we'll rebake those nice and brown. Later on, we're doing southern fried chicken, Raggy, in a taco with some mayonnaise and some maple fried bacon. That's going to be good, man. That's going to be your favorite. I know. You're also going to love these lemon and meringue tarts, by the way.
Maxie Blake said, morning, YouTube. 5 a.m. here. What's cooking?
Did you? Hopefully you caught what I said, Maxie. I can't. I'm going to ask Michelle to pop the clotted cream. We have 3 more clotted creams in the slow cooker. If you go back to the beginning of the video, you'll see the explanation for how I made the clotted cream. What we're going, yes, you should just set the oven temperature. I'm now going to be adding some butter to get a little sort of some fats into my lemon curd, and also to add a little gloss to it. Then I'm going to add the yolks of 2 medium to large eggs. I just want to crack these eggs into.
You just want the yolks?
I just want to keep.
You can have your whites into here.
Please, yes. If I put my whites straight away into a Pyrex, a little mixing bowl, then I can use those a little bit later on. So back down here. So we're going to take our whites. We're going to do it old school, just with our hands. Capture those yolks.
Don't put them in there. Put your butter in first. So just put it in there.
I know. Michelle has to help me because I am in a fluster. I could make mistakes. So and I don't really want to make mistakes. But there's my 2 yolks. Can you see them down there?
So Raggy says, sounds great to me. It will sure beat the dollar pancakes I'll be having when I get to breakfast in about 5 hours. Some fried chicken. Cool.
You know, don't say that to me, Raggy. I'm so hungry at the moment. I woke up this morning, started prepping for this show, and I have had no breakfast. I've had a couple of pieces of my beautiful lemon drizzle cake.
Oh, that's 45 grams of that.
So I got my 2 egg yolks, my whites, which I'm going to whisk up a little bit later on to go on the top. Let's see if we can find a spot for them. We can go on the bowl there. That's it. So 45 grams of salted butter. I'm using salted for everything. I'll tell you, if I don't say it's unsalted butter in a recipe, by the way, it's always salted. And to be honest, I rarely ever use unsalted butter. So we're saying about 45 grams, Michelle?
45 grams, about 1.5 ounces.
Okay. Yes. Just something to lay this on when I weigh it. Okay. Raggy, this is the most disjointed live show you're going to see because it's going to be so long.
Samuel M says, hey man, looking great.
Thank you, buddy. 45 grams. That's 30. That's 42. That's 45. And in ounces, that is 1.5 ounces, is it about?
No.
So we can add that butter into our curd whilst it's still hot. And I want to, you want your butter not to be cold, by the way. If it's cold, it's going to counteract your sauce. So the butter wants to be at least room temperature. You could actually put melted butter, but generally it's going to melt in the heat of this sauce. Oh, have you been touching things? Okay. I don't know if you can. Okay. We definitely, dramas, we definitely are running out of power on our laptop, which is the whole show, basically. Shall you come and mix that through for me? Let me have a little look. Say hello to Raggy if he's there.
Hello, Raggy. And everybody else. I've forgotten who was there. I've been so busy reading your comments. This is cooling down. Butter hasn't melted.
Yeah, it's
melting. Joys of power on a laptop. So we're just using the charger from my little laptop, and it's not quite powerful enough for Stephen's laptop, because his failed.
We're going to turn the picture off.
Okay.
So I've turned the picture off. So Michelle can't read the comments at the moment, but keep them coming. This is not going to work, is it? If we end up, this is all day, we're going to have no power. And this is because my stupid Macintosh, everything Macintosh, it's good and heaps rubbish at the same time. You know, they're chargers that virtually within, I mean, there's a multi-$1,000 laptop that we had to buy in order to travel and do what we do. The charger within 6 months, you're having to tape it up because it's losing its the threads are coming off. Macintosh, if anyone's connected with Macintosh out there, I'm not happy with you guys. I'm going to put these 2 eggs in and beat them in.
Yeah, it's certainly cool enough.
Let's just check it's cool enough. But yeah, it's cool.
Tastes good.
It tastes delicious. I hope, look, I tell you what, if we lose for any reason, see the eggs in there? And we're just going to whisk those eggs in.
If we lose it, we have to restart online. Just put the link into the comment section in this video. Hopefully we can just press it over.
Yeah. So now we've got this beautiful lemon curd. Up to me. And I'm not sure if I've got enough in here to do all my tart bases, but we will see. Not too hot. Not too hot. So, I did warn you this show could get a little bit dull at parts because we've never done so much stuff on a live show before. So if you've got it on in the background, it's all good. I need to get these little bits of rice out of here now. So each of these little pie cases, they're nice and set. They're cooked all the way through, you can see. They stand alone. And now I've got to get my big chunky fingers into each of these and try and get each of the blind cases just cleared out. Can you see the comments over there, Michelle?
Yeah. There's no new one. No one's talking to it.
I'll tell you what. If we keep that one closed, I don't need that one up there, so maybe you could just read the comments over there. Someone drop a comment just to see if it works. Michelle's going to use a different device to see if we can see the comments. So real time now.
Yes, I can see the comments, everybody. Just getting things moved around.
So if you leave my laptop asleep on the screen, it'll recharge, I'm guessing.
Okay, well, I'm not touching yours now, so.
And you can check just now and again to see if it's taken a charge. The problem is it's a different wattage. It's a bigger laptop.
And it charges it when it's closed and not being used, but not obviously when we're using power.
We would have got a replacement laptop charger, but it only happened a couple of days ago. But shame on you, Macintosh, for, I mean, we've been trying to hold that charger together for nearly 1.5 years now with bits of sellotape and anything we can, because it cost $100 to replace the chargers.
So Raymond North, did I miss a question? You said you hope your question wasn't bad. I missed it.
No, I'm not sure. Raymond.
Maybe type it again. Sorry.
Okay, still a little bit of rice. I don't particularly want a little bit of grain rice in my lemon curd.
It should crunch.
We'll add a crunch. Let's just get my few inches of countertop clear. Are you able to see what's going on down here, everybody?
Beverly says, hopefully Apple can replace the charger if it's still in warranty.
It's tricky with Apple. It's not in warranty because it's 2.5 years old. But I've heard before they wriggle out of warranties on those things because they basically say hasn't been used to the purpose it was designed or some nonsense. Anyway, the fact is I've never, of all the laptops that I've had over the years, it's only ever the Macintosh ones. I'm not knocking Mac, but I am.
Yes, the cabling is really bad, isn't it? Really poor.
The quality of their cabling is really poor. You know, and they've had issues in the past with you know, things. I mean, the other thing with that laptop is the battery. I'm being a bit scruffy now.
I didn't. I thought it would.
Oh, it's plenty. There's plenty.
Blue thingy here.
A blue thingy. A spatula. So I'm now putting some lemon curd. And you see the inside of these pie cases are a little bit rough, a little bit bubbly. That's normal. I'm going to ask Michelle to, or I might do it. Do you know it's worked out just about perfect?
There you go. I did as much as you think.
I'm not going to overfill these because with the egg in there, there's a chance they'll rise just a little bit as they bake. Because we are going to recook them. This is already ready to eat. Is anyone still with us?
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice, isn't it?
I'm hungry.
Oh. Just as lemon curd should be. Tart. Really tart. Got a real zing to it. Michelle, could I get you just to clean up the edges of those pie cases? There's only two that I've dripped on. But I want them perfect, or as perfect as they can be. So So they are going to make, I've got little bits of rice grain all over the countertop, which I'm just going to move out of the way because I don't want them to appear later on unsuspectedly unannounced in my southern fried chicken. So now we've got to whisk up our egg whites because we are going to actually put a meringue topping on these. So I've got 2 eggs.
Quarter cup.
Quarter cup. Which I put my pips into. That's all right. I can.
But you maybe whisk that before you.
I'm not going to do this by hand. Have we got a little blender? Right. Blend away. Now I can't see the screen anymore because we've had to downgrade everything. So if you can't see, let Michelle know and we'll adjust it. I'm going to get in here. I'm just going to whisk these up until they are. Okay, you do the adjustments, yeah?
Try. Because I can't see either.
So we want to whisk these until they're soft peaks. So they go from this sort of yellow, opaque colour to a whiter, a smoother white. You can see we've got these little soft peaks in there now. What I'm going to do is add my caster sugar in two stages. So I've got 1/4 cup of caster sugar. I think in the US they call this superfine sugar. Is that right? Is my voice starting to go?
No.
So I'm going to put half of it in there. Slowly start to mix it through. I want this to be fairly stiff for piping, okay? You can come down, bring the camera down. Stiff peaks like that. It wants to be pretty stiff. Do you think I should go a little longer, or are we okay with that?
Well, could you put that over your head?
Oh, I could definitely put it over my head.
I think that's enough now.
Might go just a tiny. Come up to me. The reason I want to do this pretty stiff is I'm going to be piping it in a piping bag. And I really want it to hold its shape. So let's find a space if we can.
You don't need any more?
Be fine then, Michelle. You can. I'm going to grab myself my little jug here. Don't be flustered, Steve. I'm going to use the white one, Michelle. So I've got a star tip. I'm going to need to cut a hole in this bag before I put my. So it looks like a big tip, but it's probably only about a 1/2 inch star on there. I think that's going to give me a nice effect. I've not done this before, so we're just you know, if ordinarily you'd have practiced this, but from experience, I think we're about right. Now I can stretch the bag. Come down here. Stretch the bag over a jug. It just makes the big one. It just makes a nice, handy dandy device just to hold the piping bag open. I don't want to get too much air in there. Take that beautiful meringue paste, should we call it, for want of another word. Now, by using the bag, I can just lift that up, give it a little shake down. And then, with my little tarts here, can you see those?
I'm just checking.
Can everybody see okay?
A bit more, I think. Okay, just the first 9 nearest you.
Oh, that's looking nice. First 9 nearest me.
Yeah.
I will start.
Oh, no, nearest you.
Oh, nearest me, this side. I'm going to start in the middle. I'm just going to pipe this round in a little snail like this. And then I'm going to bring it up into a little spike. Now, I'm doing it backwards. I've just realized. Start on the outside, Stephen. This is my nerves. Start on the outside, go into the center, fill the gap, go around again, bring up a little spike. So take it easy, there's no rush. With a nice line in there, bring it into the center. Now it's a little bit, my hands are warm. Because my hands are warm, it's just starting to melt. It's fine. That one's got a spike.
Down.
Now I'm going to leave them on there.
So you're nice and crispy.
So, look, gentlemen, ladies, I have to move. This is what we always find when we do our YouTube videos, is I try to film to camera. And what that does is it means you're not filming where you should be. You're not holding things naturally because you're very conscious of where the camera is.
So Raven North has asked this question again, the one I missed. It says, Steve, do you happen to know the fellow who does the One Pot Chef channel, and would you ever do a show together?
I don't know him. I think his name's David. I don't know him. And yeah, I do things with him. I don't know his channel very well, unfortunately. He seems like a nice guy.
And Lady G says, they're making chargers like this on purpose. I had to replace my charger from my phone several times because it keeps breaking. Yes,
when ours broke, I started looking into it. I'm hearing everybody complaining how they, had to change it 4 times, 5 times. Technically, we would have had to have replaced our. Technically, we'd have had to replace our charger within the first 6 months. Oh, that one is a little bit high, Michelle.
You want to do a bit of Facebooking, showing these? People might join us. Sorry.
Michelle says we should go live on Facebook, shall we? Shall we say hello to the Facebook people out there? We might as well go live. You always then it asks you for a name. Lemon curd. I can't even get to the. I'm just going to call it lemon. I can't be bothered to type it all out. YouTubers, hi Facebookers out there, everybody. We've just made these gorgeous little lemon and meringue tarts. And we're just about to bake them in the oven. Aren't we, YouTube? We're just about to bake them in the oven to get to set the meringue and get a little bit of colour onto those. And they are part of today's live show on Steve's Kitchen, where we are baking. At the moment, we have done these lemon tarts. We've also talked about our
clotted cream.
Clotted cream. I am losing it. Come over to support, will you? Keep me awake. So what was the question? There were some questions coming through.
Okay.
Did Sean say something that I had to answer? What temperature are we baking these at? 140?
150.
150. So
sorry.
150, 300 degrees. We're going to bake these just to get hopefully a nice little bit of brown on them, and they should look really pretty then. We're going to bake them for about 10 minutes again.
A bit longer, because with the big pie we did about 30 minutes, but these won't take that long.
Yeah, we had to keep an eye on them in the oven because Facebook, say hello to YouTube.
Alexander Newman said Kiwi flag shirt.
Australian flag shirt.
Raymond North. Sean says British flag. It's Australian, guys.
Aussie flag, got the Southern Star on there.
And Emmy Kate says it's 7 a.m.
So, Facebookies, come on over to YouTube, say hello, join in the fun, keep me going. This is a marathon, a non-sponsored marathon. How many of you out there, well, a little heart just went up. Let's leave it running for a moment. I want those little hearts. How many of you from YouTube have gone over to Facebook and watching this? I bet it's you guys. So they're going to go in the oven. My little lemon meringue tarts. Hey Google, give me 15 minutes. We are going to let them, Google's going to tell me when 15 minutes up. We're going to let them cook until I get some color on them. So we've got these beautiful independent little lemon and meringue pies, which later is going to go, I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 of them on top of my little tea set here, along with all the other bits we baked today. And fingers crossed the power stays, because the biggest problem we have at the moment is actually not internet today. It's actually the power. The laptop's dying because the power charger died. But all those things are sent to try us. So YouTube, Facebook are in. Facebook, we won't be doing constantly because I'm not sure of my data and how much we'll have, but it's lovely to have you on. Hey, somebody on Facebook, say hello. While actually, will you say hello on Facebook while I have a bit of this elderflower and lemon drizzle cake? So
Jamaican Gal says, I'm viewing it two. I'm viewing 2 at the time, at the same time. Sorry, Kenny, I can't read. Says, I'm viewing 2 at the same time. Have you got sound? Stereo. Have some water. Now we need this pot for the strawberry jam, should I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Unless you want to do it in the other one. So it's a slow old live stream, and I appreciate some of you have better things to do, but we've never done anything like this before. This is probably going for quite a long time, I'm guessing already, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Bring this to the second hour. What's the time now?
I've got to relax. I've got to chill. Just let it roll. It seemed like a good idea. Hopefully you're learning things. If you have questions, by the way, just throw those questions up, because that'll give something to wear my voice out other than just floundering.
If you make them nice and long, then you have a bit of a break between talking.
What are we baking next?
I think we do the strawberry jam, because actually I did that wrong.
Oh, yes.
So,
I'm going to be doing, we went to go strawberry jam first.
I missed it off my order of events. I don't know.
I knew, Michelle, you've messed me up, because I mnemonically worked it out in my head which order we were cooking everything today. And so when Michelle said we're starting with the tarts, I thought, well, that sounds a bit odd. I would have thought I'd ease myself in gently with something not so complicated as a short crust pastry. Not that a short crust pastry is difficult, but I thought I might have just started a little bit easier. And strawberry, nothing gets easier than a bit of jam.
Upside down.
You are terrible.
I know, I'm sorry. I missed it.
And I deliberately chose to start with something easy. But you see, I can't, once I'm actually in the role, I can't question Michelle. She tells me I'm starting with lemon and meringue pies.
It was only when he talked about the strawberry jam a bit later on, I thought, oh, where's that on my order of events?
Yeah,
And it wasn't there.
Strawberry jam. Now, I'm going to be making strawberry jam with just frozen strawberries. The reason I'm using frozen strawberries is because you can really. I mean, it's jam. They're all going to break down anyway. So if at the moment strawberries are not great in season here in Australia, they're sort of they're really not got any sweetness to them. So what I've decided to go is with
Sean saying good night, it's after midnight.
Good night, Sean. Sean, I don't think I'll be up in the morning the way I'm feeling at the moment. I'm quiet, but I'm going to try. Pop in and say hello. But however, I've got enough stuff to take us through to the morning, at least. Oh, those tarts are looking nice. I'm going to eat one of those tarts when it comes out, even though technically I'm meant to be keeping them for our afternoon tea set. I'm going to eat one. Michelle is too.
You don't need 12.
I don't need 12. I only need about 2 or 3 of these. Facebook.
Or even just one.
Not even just one.
Depends how many other things you make.
So we're going to make jam. It is very easy. The problem with strawberry jam, by the way, is strawberries don't want to set. There's no pectin in strawberries. They're very watery. They have a high acidity, a little bit of fructose in them, not so much. So they don't like to set, not high acidity, a low acidity. So the way you can counteract that, people will buy pectin. But realistically, it's so much easier just to use a high acid fruit like a lemon. Lemons are really high in pectin. The seeds, if you've ever tried to hold on to a lemon seed, you know it always pops out your hand because there's a coating on it, a very high, like a glutinous sort of coating, which is really high in pectin. So we're just going to use lemon, which also complements strawberries. Now, can you grab the strawberries out for me, Michelle?
Yeah.
So, let me just move the Facebooky people over there for a moment. Thank you for the hearts on Facebook. Beautiful. Let me just stand you up a little bit higher. I'm going to pop this on this wooden board, which is covered in lemon. I'll just get Michelle to wipe that off, otherwise I'm going to have lemon all over the place. Yes, hearts, hearts, hearts. That's one nice thing on Facebook, isn't it? Those hearty things coming over. It's always good. So you can use frozen strawberries. Frozen strawberries in Australia in the supermarkets are not expensive. What's our ratio we're going to go with? We're going to go with a cup to a half or 2 cups? It's tricky with jams and jellies because I'm not a big sugar fan, and I try to reduce things down. But if you go too low on your sugars, you won't get a jam that's set properly.
Strawberry sauce.
You just get a strawberry pouring sauce. So we're going to go with a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'm going to take strawberries, frozen strawberries, and it's hard to make cups of strawberries, right? So we're just roughly going to take strawberries. Come down here, you tubers. Wow, these smell good. I keep thinking my microphone's going to be up against the thing, but we haven't got a microphone on this. So I'm going to, there is an accuracy in jam making, but it's a little less accurate than some sciences, so it doesn't matter if we're a little over, a little under. I've got 2 cups of strawberries in a pot. I'll get Michelle to grab me some sugar. I think it's behind the camera, but I can't quite reach round to grab it, Michelle.
I was doing it, but you have to cup.
We're going to add a cup of sugar. Hi, Facebook. Hi, YouTube.
Oh, so keep still.
Well, that's enough. I'm going a little under a cup of sugar. We're just going to add a little bit of sugar. I'm going to put a splash or so of water in there as well. Now, there's quite a bit of liquid in the fruit. This is all going to evaporate. The actual water that's in the jam is also, sorry, in the strawberries is going to completely evaporate. Once you get up to that temperature of sort of 100 degrees, all the water is going to sort of burn off. So you'll have no more moisture left in the strawberries. Will have broken down to just their fibers, sugars, and the likes. Now, I kept, you'll remember, the seeds of my, do you know what, Michelle, I was thinking, you know, one of those little tea bags, do you think you could, we've got some of those little, I haven't got any muslin. I don't think we've got any muslin we can use. So I'm going to take one of those little tea bags you often get. They're doing quite fashionable. Oh, I have got a bit of muslin. Yeah, no, I have. So pass me that over. We'll make a little bouquet garni. So I have got some muslin. So I'm just going to make a little patch, a little packet out of this.
So Making Girl says, what would you like to call us subscribers, Steve? I call mine precious diamonds.
I don't know, Kelly. I just think you're all friends. I did give that some thought at one time. Excuse me a minute. I will be back on that in a second. I'm just going to make take a little bit of this muslin. I don't want to ruin this muslin because I use it for cheesecake. So a little square of muslin. Now, I did think before that I could actually use the, you know, the little tea bags are very popular now that look like, and they're heat proof as well, so you can actually put them into jam. But I don't know if they got up to the temperature of scalded sugar, so I'm not 100% sure. Muslin will. I am going to. Where's my basket? Straining basket's gone away again. I'm going to actually put this lemon juice from half a lemon. So I don't mind if people. I did have a few ideas, Kelly. I was thinking it'd be nice to call people Foodles, which is like a cutesy poodle name, because I think it's quite nice that dogs that have those, you know, there's always, it's very fashionable at the moment, all these sort of Broodle, Labradoodles, all these sort of strange names for dogs that are bred with poodles, but they have that nice soft fur. And I thought Foodle was quite a nice name, little Foodle community. But I don't want to start calling people, I don't want to start calling people something they don't want to be called, because some people don't want to be. So you call yourself what you like. If you want to use Foodles, that's good with me. I want all of the, I'm actually using the lemon as well, the top, but I can get that out easily. Only one pip again. These are the least pippy lemons, just when I want lots of pips. Lucky I saved the pips. Who's commenting on Facebook, I wonder? Hi, Cynthia. Hey, Sunday Dean. Sorry I missed the Facebook comments. So I've got a few seeds, and these seeds, as you know, are slippy and slimy. They've got lots of pectin in them. I'm going to wrap them up in a little bit of muslin. I'm going to take my lemon as well. I want all that lemon pit. So we're not wasting any of that.
So use the extra lemons that you have.
Yeah. I'm going to take both of my, let's get the camera down here. You get back to manning the computer. That's all right. I'm good. I'm just going to cut these up into something a little more manageable. Oh, more pips. It's always good. I'll wrap the pips up. There's all the pips. It didn't squeeze out. So I'm just going to wrap these bits of, just get the pips out, put them in there as well. I'm probably actually going to go with just three pieces. I've got a few pips in here. Michelle will find something just to wrap that up. I'm going to put those pips in as well. If Michelle can find a little bit of string or something to tie them together with. And we're going to pop this onto the stove, this jam to be strawberry jam. So fresh strawberry jam with our scones. Pop that onto the stove. And we're going to bring that up to a rolling simmer. That's a good idea. The big tablespoon Sanderdine, that's probably a much better idea. So Michelle's just tied that little bouquet garni. It's not a bouquet garni because it's got no garnishes in there, but that's got those little pips in. I'm going to drop it in. It'd just be easier for me to get the pips out rather than leave the pips in the jam. So what was I explaining? I threw a pip over there, it bounced out the sink, round the thing, and ended up on Michelle's laptop. So I'll let it start to heat up. The strawberries themselves, I don't know about mashing it, Michelle, because I quite like the lumps of strawberry.
I don't know how big they were in that packet. So.
They were quite small. Okay. I might mash up the strawberries a little bit to get a finer pulp. Strawberries do not set well generally, even if you bring them up to.
Hey Google, stop.
Even if you bring them up to a high temperature at the right.
Hey Google, stop.
Michelle's trying to kill Google.
That's your 15. A bit longer.
Yeah, they can go longer. So maybe these little lemon meringue pies will take as long as the big pie. We've not done them this small before. So, you know, we've got to kind of find that balance. But they're looking gorgeous. They've puffed up a little bit. The meringues are starting to colour. I'm going to have to put my glass on because I'm getting a... Hey, Sally. Morning.
So Maxie Blake says, I do the same thing for pectin and put spices in the lemons for chutney.
Yes. I'm also getting messages through from my daughter. So we're going to let that come up to a boil. What temperature are we looking for the jam, Michelle? Is it? I've got to check it.
I wrote it down here.
It's a little above soft boil. Now you can use a jam thermometer. Yeah, like the little ones that sit on the side of the pan. I haven't got one with me. I'm going to use my trusty little Thermopen, and we're waiting to bring that up to the right temperature where the jams and the sugars will set. We won't go too high because we don't want to burn the jams, and actually they won't caramelize too easily because there's lemon in there. Lemon actually, I'm tending to face the Facebook chat camera.
I've got 105 written down, so I'll just double check. Yeah, 105. So setting point for jam is 220 Fahrenheit, 105 Celsius.
Okay, so with your jams, the lemon going in here will actually stop the jams from going dark and caramelizing anyway. But we're not really going up to those temperatures. I tend to think we might go a little bit above 105. You don't think with the...
I think probably that's
it's a long time since I've done strawberry jam. I think the lemons will be enough to set it, and we will see. Yeah. I haven't got pectin, so I haven't got an option. I'm really hoping that we can do this with just the pips. It's a long time since I've done strawberry jam. I know it's notoriously difficult. I'm not going to follow some of the... I think Jamie Oliver has a strawberry jam recipe where he uses a lot more sugar. I think years and years ago I did try it and it was just too sweet. It was just like that and it doesn't set properly because he doesn't use pectin in it. So it ended up just being like that strawberry sauce that you can pour on ice cream rather than a proper jam. So this was well thought through. Already the strawberries are starting to break up. They're already starting to. I mean, if I can show the YouTubers out there, because I can actually turn that down and show you. So you can see already we're getting that rich strawberry sauce.
Smells good.
Smells delicious. And remember, frozen strawberries, fresh strawberries, it really doesn't matter when you're making jam. I mean, if you've got access to abundant fresh strawberries, sure, use them. But at the moment, you can get frozen strawberries in the shops for around about $4 for a bag. You're probably getting close to a kilo of strawberries out of there. If you were buying punnet strawberries at the moment, you'd be paying probably about $6 for a small punnet. And they're not sweet. They're not good in season at the moment. If they're in season for you, please go with fresh. But I'm not bothered about. I'm not really bothered about the physical qualities of the strawberries, if you know what I mean, because we're breaking them down. It's not like I'm going to be serving them with fresh cream or anything. We're going to pulverize these things. Anyone out there on Facebook still? I'm going to actually stop Facebook. I'm sorry, if you want to watch this live, get across to YouTube if you're on Facebook. I'm going to stop it on Facebook mainly because I'm limited on my data connection, and we're just using this on mobile data because our internet is not so good. So love you all in Facebook. Share, come across, say hello on YouTube. Well, it's tricky, is it not, to share on both platforms? But it works. Now, I have to recall, got a little potato masher here, and I'm going to use this to just break up some of the bigger strawberries in the jam. And I'll just do a temperature check. See what the sugars are coming up to. 102. So we're getting there. Just going to break up some of the larger strawberries.
Oh, I can smell it now. You're breaking them up.
Can you?
Yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Mm.
Ask some questions, Michelle can answer. Nice to see the back of me. Heard that said before.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't.
I don't understand what Raggy's saying. He said, nope, just chopped liver Raggy on YouTube.
What, Raggy?
Just chopped liver Raggy on YouTube. I understand you, Raggy.
Nobody understands Raggy, apart from me. I have a special understanding of Raggy. Don't we, Raggy? A brother from the south.
Now, you're not going to put this strawberry jam into jars, are you? Because we're going to use it.
No, I'm going to use it today. How do you say Okapicha? Okapichu, Raggy? Okapichu. What's that little town down in Okapichu? No, I got it wrong. Down in Florida.
That's not quite straight.
Come over here, everybody. See if I can bring you over. Can you see? Can you see anything there? How beautiful. I picked up the only white strawberry in the pack. How beautiful that is. The smell coming off there, even though these are frozen strawberries. The smell coming off there. Frozen strawberries are generally quite good. Smell is intense. The flavors, wow.
So Raggy says, you made Facebook sound like first class. I'm not on Facebook. And you mean Okeechobee. Okeechobee. Is that right?
Okeechobee?
Okeechobee.
You know, I've been there, Aggie. I had a photograph of my kids outside the smallest post office in the world at Okeechobee. So it was fascinating to know that you lived there at one time, or I think you actually might have even gone to school there. And it was just fascinating to think, oh, look, I'm in the town where Aggie grew up. Not that either of us really grew up, right?
Watergirl 49 says, cool jacket, Steve.
Thank you. Watergirl?
Watergirl 49.
Oh, it's nice to see Watergirl in. Haven't spoken for a little while.
What are you up to?
I'll tell you what, I'll let Michelle, it's getting about 2 degrees off of what we're looking for. So I'll let Michelle, are there any questions coming up?
No.
Okeechobee? Oh, Raggy, it's a long day today, man. It's a beautiful part of the world. We drove up from the Florida Keys. I think we've been all the way out to Key West, which is, the Keys are just beautiful. I know you lived there as well, Raggy, at one time. Key Marathon, was it? Key Largo, Key Marathon. And we drove up that side of the coast. We were going along the Everglades and went past we went past that little post office and stopped in at the town. Went shopping in there. I remember buying, possibly the first time in my life I'd heard about 95 DEET mosquito fight, because the mosquitoes were pretty intense in the Everglades, and they were selling this real high DEET. I think it was more like DDT that you could spray on yourself to keep the mosquitoes off, because they were particularly prevalent at the time. And we stopped there. Lovely, pretty little town. And we were heading up to Naples, weren't we, Michelle? We were. And we stopped off in Naples, which also is a beautiful town, by the way. I love that side of Florida. I think quite often the other side of Florida is much neglected by people. Everyone tends to go to Orlando and Miami, and the other side of Florida, if you ever get a chance to go there, is prettier, less touristic. Just really nice. Anyway, so it was fascinating to know that you grew up there, Aggie, or you had some of your formative years in that little part of the world. I remember we saw quite a few alligators. We have crocodiles over here. And that was the first time I'd really seen alligators, I think, Michelle. We saw them in the Everglades. So, beautiful part of the world. What's the temperature getting like, Michelle?
103.
So we're just waiting. Sugars take a long time to get to their last final destination, and we have got quite a bit of liquid in with this by way of a little water. I put in just about 1/8 of a cup just to help the sugars break down, but we've also got a lot of liquid inside the strawberries as well. That has to boil off. All that liquid has to boil off, whether you're making raspberry jam. Raspberry's a lot less water content than strawberries. Peach jam, apricot jam. The first thing you're trying to do is actually extract all the moisture out of the fruit, because you can't set a jelly with water still in the fruit.
So Raggy said, I graduated from Okeechobee High School.
Okeechobee.
And I lived on the upper Macomb Key in Isla Morada.
Raggy.
And the squishes in the glades are called Gary Nappers. They stand 1 inch high and often 2 inches long.
Yeah.
And I used to catch gators when I was a zookeeper in Leesburg, Florida.
Well, those mosquitoes were a pain. And I think, you know, they sell by matter of course, sort of like the 90+ DEET mosquito spray in those areas. I think locals don't tend to use it. I think they're probably pretty immune to the whole mosquito thing. But when you're a tourist and you're going through there, of course, I think the mosquitoes see the tourists as like a free meal.
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood, new blood.
104.
104. We are getting there. I'm going to let it go just a little over 104. Michelle, take it to a little over 105. I want to get about 106, so I know it's all the way through hot. Then we're going to take that off the heat. I've got a pretty little heart dish. We're going to serve some beautiful English scones, and I'm going with my scones I normally make are super simple and super delicious. They're really just butter, flour, a little sugar, little salt, and that's pretty much it, isn't it, Michelle?
Yeah.
But we're actually going to make a slightly different recipe. I'm going to go along the lines of the Ritz in London, where they add a little bit of egg into their scones. Why I'm doing that is because I'm hoping that we can get a slightly denser scone without being too dense. I want to get a scone that when I cut the sides, it has very smooth sides rather than the crumbly side I normally get with the scone. And I'm going to try to reproduce those high-class five-star hotel scones that look actually a little plastic, a little unreal. They taste delicious, but I just want these to look pretty.
105, 107. I mean 105, 7. So you're getting them.
We've got to get our lemon tarts out the oven. Do you think they're ready, Michelle? Or should I go a little browner?
I think it's a little browner. That's at 100, nearly 106.
Okay. Look at that. Look at that. Can you see that? Bubbling jam. Strawberry jam.
So Raggy says locals consume garlic and what onion keeps the insects away.
Keep the vampires away, Raggy.
You put your lemon bits into there.
So we've now got
Smells good.
one of the most delicious. I was thinking I've got the whole jam in there for now. No, we're good.
No, because you need to put it into the dish because it's going to set.
Yeah. So
It's got maybe
I'm not going to put it on the side. This pan's a little hot.
leave it over there.
If I put this on to a wooden board, I know you're going to burn. I've done it before. But look, other side of this board. Is it still there? Oh yeah, that circle.
Coffee.
Wasn't coffee? No.
It was the mocha pot.
Yeah, it was a mocha pot. Yeah, you know, it's Italian. When we were traveling through, we took this board with us through Sicily, and I'd made a coffee one morning when we were on the road, and I took the mocha pot off the stove and I popped it onto that board, and it was like branding a cow basically. As soon as it touched that board, it went. I thought, oh dear me, that's a little hot. It's a little hot. So I just want to get my. It's funny how one of your pieces of lemon always seems to vanish. Did we put 3 bits in there or 2? Oh no, I probably only put 2 in there.
But you put your lemon in the muslin.
No.
Oh.
No, I put 3 bits in there. Look, there's the last piece. So this is just going to take those bits of lemon out of there. They've done their job now. They have set, and here's the pips.
Maggie says vampires and mosquitoes are first cousins.
They certainly are, Reggie. Just take the pips out of there. Now, everyone knows the old trick of taking a bit of jam out, dropping it into cold water, see if it's set. We don't need to. I'm pretty comfortable that this jam is going to set. How gorgeous is that? So, shall I put a little into that hot?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ready for
just
serving.
turn that camera down. Put this here. Oh, that's not down.
Yeah, I'm just
right down here.
oh, well, they back first cousins out of the mosquitoes are.
They're related. I'm going to put some of this jam. Probably end up forming a nice little skin on it, but who cares? How gorgeous! Can you see that? Can you see that on camera, Michelle?
Yeah, that's good.
How gorgeous is that jam?
You get the rest of it out.
The rest of it I'm going to put in this blue pot.
Enough?
Yeah. That's got some of the larger pieces of strawberry in there. Now, please don't feel obliged to watch all of this. I know it can be, I think, if you come in, mind you, if you've come in new, let me know so I can let you know what we're up to.
Is it showing its set on the spoon?
Yeah, show that over here. Show the people in the camera. It's not.
I think that might be it. See, show it's set. It's not falling off my spoon. Might be cool enough for me to try.
No, don't.
Is
it?
The aircon's blowing out. Lovely. We'll have to wash that.
That's cool enough to try?
Yeah. That on the thing might not be then. Let's get some hot water in this.
If you ever burn your tongue on jam, you know it hurts. Oh yeah. Perfectly set. It's not complicated, strawberry jam. A lot of people will tell you it's one of the hardest jams to make. I think a lot of the time it's because they over-sugar it, which is fine. But sugar in itself hasn't got pectin, and we're not taking temperatures up to you're not taking your sugars up to the temperature of caramel, and you're certainly not taking it up to the temperatures of hard crack, which can set your jams hard. So if you're hoping that the sugar will be your setting agent, it isn't going to be. We're really only getting up to 105. What's that in Fahrenheit, Michelle?
220.
220 in Fahrenheit. You're not going to get those caramelizations in your sugar at those temperatures. So adding more sugar is not going to help you. It is pectin that you need. And we have cheated those strawberries by adding in lemon pips, lemon zest. I actually made some, where's that little mug?
It's over there behind the pot. Okay. And watch your meringues in the oven.
Oh, let's not forget the meringue.
So Maxi Blade said the jam looks scrum. Lady G says that strawberry jam looks absolutely delicious. And Gatu Marmona says the jam looks gorgeous. I'm new. What are you making?
I will explain to you. Look, this is basically lemon pectin. There's nothing really but a bit of sugar. So it's lemon jam. Yesterday I made some. I just made some candied lemons because I wanted some candied lemons maybe for display purposes. So basically that is just taking a lemon, slicing it up, and oh, Michelle, I thought you were cooking something then, but you're just cleaning the pot.
Just cleaning the pot.
So when you want to get the jam out your pot, by the way, and you've got all that sugar crystallized in there, just add some more water into it, pop it onto the stove, bring it back up to the heat. Everything will dissolve down in the hot water, and it'll just wipe off. Right. I would like a little more colour on these.
Yeah.
We haven't used the grill on here.
Oh, be careful.
I'm going to. So I want a little more. I haven't got a torch. Normally they would use a little blow torch just to get some brown on top of those meringues. They're cooked at the moment. What I'm going to do is just use the broiler or grill, as we call it. There's my little jam, by the way. My scones later on. And I'm going to see if it just toasts off the top a little bit. We will see. So just crack the oven door open a little bit, turn the broiler or grill on, and I just want to get a little bit of caramelized color on the top of these tarts. Now, unfortunately, they're right down the bottom of the oven, almost on the lower third of the oven, so they're a long way off, and I'm not going to adjust it all. Now, I don't think we need to, Michelle, because if the thing is, if we put them up near the grill, I don't know this grill, I've never used it before. Chances are that I'll burn it, and we've gone too far to ruin it for impatience.
Quick wash up, Claudia.
Yeah, we'll have a little tidy round. I'll have a little tidy. Michelle, you can do. I was going to get you to do some comments. Maybe I can recite you another little story.
Why don't you have a sip?
It's not a bad idea. I could do.
Tell me if I get too noisy.
If Michelle gets too noisy, I want you all to shout at the same time. Yes, I don't want to break it. I can see that little high tea service plate as I'm clustering around doing this and the other, ending up going for a burn. So yesterday's lemon drizzle cake, by the way, I don't know if any out of flour and lemon drizzle cake. I don't know if anybody managed to make it. I know if you did make it, you'll know how good it is because it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to have the last piece. This is my breakfast. If I push with my tongue and I push the cake up on the roof of my mouth, all the drizzle sauce comes out. Yeah, all the lemon sauce. That's how moist it is. This is a pound cake, which is equal part flour, eggs, butter, and sugar, equal by weight. And then it's packed full of lemon syrup, with, in this case, elderflower cordial. So it's got all that sort of zestiness of lemon, but it's also got a floral flavour. It's not bad. I mean, those of you that are thinking, oh, I don't like the idea of floral, trust me, it's not bad. It's absolutely quite delicious. So I'm going to get these meringue tarts out very shortly. I wonder whether we would have been better to do this on the phone directly, so I could have seen the comments as they came through. Hey ho, I'll get Michelle to come back round in a minute and read your comments. So the grill is on. The lemon meringue pies are here, and the grill is up here. They are going to meet at some point, but not too quickly. What I would suggest doing, you're going to do this for the weekend, you've got guests over, I would bake these for a little bit less time than we have. I'd take them to, if you've got one of those little blow torches, I would bring it up for about 15 minutes. And then I would take them out and I'd just use a little blowtorch just to caramelize the top. The peaks would look nice. Do you think, Michelle?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they look good. They're sandy cut.
They're sandy colour, but I would like. Which
is what? Yeah, they look good. They're like you can see the two tone of it now.
I would like. I'm a perfectionist. I'd always like to see them looking just like
they're
sand.
Burning on the other side, so I can smell them.
No, they're not. The grill's burning a little bit. Always when you turn a grill on, a broiler on an oven, you don't use very often, you're going to get that little bit of burning.
So Scott Cook says, oh my God, who's excited?
I am, and I've got a big workload ahead of me. Put my lemons up there. Scott
Cook.
I haven't come across you before, have I, Scott? Do you tend to remember names?
Maybe just twist the tray around.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise this up. You share them, Jeff, because you can actually, you would be much better off watching the comments. Oh, I'm all right with those.
I think I've done enough.
Yeah, I'm all right with those. So we're going to turn the oven off.
So Scott Cook's excited for the wedding. And Gatin Mona says, is this all for the upcoming royal wedding?
Yes, not literally. But I've always wanted to do an afternoon tea set. So, you know, I've always been, I was the very first person to make clotted cream on YouTube. And I didn't do it. It's been a really successful video for me, but I didn't do it because I thought it would be successful. I did it because I was passionate about the history of clotted cream. I've talked to you before about when I was a kid, we used to have it in the west of England and how they used to mix it with the ice cream. So and we used to make it in our old farmhouse on the poêle, or the French is poêle, wood-burning stove. So we used to do it on the wood-burning stove, so you can do it overnight. So I've done a lot of research, and I've worked out the system, and I've come up with an option to make clotted cream at home. Now, subsequently, many people have made it, but I've seen a lot of the videos, and people don't really fully understand. I think they just want to get the views on the channel, and they don't really understand. They're not passionate about clotted cream, so they don't fully understand what's going on, if you understand what I'm saying. So I might update that video at one time.
Bring them over now, we can see them.
We're just going to let them cool a little bit. So here are our little lemon curd tarts. Now, I need to let them cool before I handle them. And that grill didn't do me any favors, did it? They are going to look a lot prettier when they come out of the casing. And hopefully I didn't overcook them.
So Joe Quinn Kilpatrick said looks good, and Watergirl 49 said, oh yes.
Sure, you don't have to read the whole names out every time. You can just say Watergirl.
And
because I've got to say, it's Joe, right?
I don't know.
We just read the name out before.
Oh no, because it says Joe Quinn. That's two different people, two different comments.
Oh, say it again.
So Joe Quinn Kilpatrick said looks good.
Yes, and
then Watergirl 49 said, oh yes, lovely.
You tell we're tired already. So thank you, Joe.
Jamaican Gal says, wow, Steve, they look fabulous. You did brilliantly.
Thank you. I'm going to actually grab one of them. They're super hot. The broiler didn't do me any great favors because it didn't do the
That's cool.
Cool, but look at that. Beautiful little. Does it look good on the camera?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this one here. I'm going to let it cool down. I'm going to cut it through the middle so you can see just how pretty that's become and what the lemon curd is like inside. I'm going to save a couple of them for now. I actually thought I probably should have added a little bit of cornstarch in with the meringue.
Possibly, yeah.
If you're making this at home, if you make it this weekend, I'm going to suggest that the same recipe that I just used, use a teaspoon of cornstarch. What that will do is we'll add a little more structure to your meringue, and when you pipe it, you'll get more definition. And also, rather than I haven't got many piping nozzles with me. I've only got what we travel with. I only had the sort of claw type star nozzle. You'd be better with a full open star nozzle so that you get those lines to stay and they're broad. When you pipe with a claw type, it's good to give volume. It gives volume to cream if you're piping cream. Does that make sense, what I'm saying, Michelle?
Yeah.
Does everyone understand? If you use the star type nozzle, you increase the volume, but you also keep the definition of the piping. So it's, if you understand what I'm saying. Oh, I have got. No, I haven't. So the sort of nozzle I use is curled over, so the stars are curled over. They're great for volume if you want to get a nice sort of whipped cream sort of in volume, and that's what I used here, only because I haven't got alternatives.
Okay, so it's not Joe Quinn. I apologise. It's Way Keen. I just didn't pronounce it correctly. And Uncle Raggy.
How's it spelled?
Joaquin, but they put WAKEEN. So I did it wrong. I'm sorry. Uncle Raggy has left the green room. That's from Erin, the agent.
Erin, how are you?
And Maxie Blake.
Erin's the agent. She's Raggy's loves. I know you, Erin. Seen you on the channel.
I thought we were going to take those out of there.
I can. They might be still a little bit warm.
And Maxie Blake said, those look lovely, Steve. Lady G said, I'd like to eat all those lemon meringue pies, please.
Yeah, well, I am going to eat.
Said, they're so cute.
Look, I'll bring you down here. See if the tin's still a little bit warm, but not too much to handle. Are they on screen okay?
Yep.
So I want to get these out and just pop them out to cool.
And Erin, using Raggy's account, says, I'm fine, thank you for asking.
And we're not going to put these in the fridge, by the way. They won't do well in the fridge. They've got to be kept at room temperature. So you can see what I meant by trying to broil these or grill them. Instead of getting the effect that I wanted, which was a little bit of brown around the high peaks of the meringue, I've kind of got that slightly. Michelle would say I'm being too critical.
He is. I think they look cute.
They look beautiful, don't they? So we'll pop those somewhere for later.
Somewhere for later.
Pop them over to Michelle. And she very gently takes them over, finds a flat area, not where the little dog can get it. Okay. You can eat one of those if you want.
Yeah.
Have one.
9% on mine now.
What am I on mine now?
8. It's a race to see your 6. So we might have to restart on mine and see how far I can, so I'll watch it.
Okay. What we might try and do is see if we can restart this show. I'm going to cut this through. Look, we'll just take a little sharp knife. I'm going to cut through the middle. It's probably a little bit too hot still.
Sure.
Look at that. Does that come out nicely?
Looks lovely.
I deserve this because I'm so hungry.
So Wakin says, getting a snack attack at 1 a.m. watching this, lol.
A bit hot. I love lemon meringue.
Erin says, he'll be back soon, back with you soon. He talks about you and Michelle often and still cooks rice perfectly, thanks to you.
Thanks, Erin.
Lady G says, oh my gosh.
One day we're going to get over and see Raggy, I'm certain of it.
Are they?
Oh, they are so good. You know, what I love about lemon meringue touch is the way they, first of all, they assault your taste buds and try to make you cry and wince. And then you've got that sweet meringue on top. It's just perfect.
That's why you need the short crust pastry, not a sweet pastry, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is why I was saying we're not using a sweet short crust pastry. We're using technically a savoury short crust pastry. I think this could be made better. You see how the crust is perfectly cooked? It's not too thick. I said I was a little worried I'd gone a little thick, but you can see the pie crust itself is super thin. It's only about less than 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch thick, a little thicker towards the top, but it's perfectly cooked. If you look at the underside, I can't see it. Yeah, you can see it's not overly browned, but it's perfectly cooked. There's no uncooked parts of this, and it's crispy.
The lady G says, I'm crying right now because I can't get any. Water Girl says, making me smack my lips too. I can almost taste it. And the Jamaican Girl says, I can smell that from here. So decadent and delish. This beats the normal size lemon meringue pie. Is it tart?
It's lovely. I love lemon meringue.
It's got to cool a bit before I can have one.
No, it's all right. Hot's quite nice. I'm going to have another one because I had no breakfast. And we're going to have a little thought. Michelle, are you anyway able to pick up the show from the second laptop? I mean, if it stops on there, will it pick up?
I don't know how I will do that.
We're going to have a little interval while Michelle eats a lemon and meringue pie for you all.
Do you want to come here and I'll go into lemon
yes.
meringue pie?
Bring a lemon and meringue pie around. Careful you don't burn your lips.
I got to cut mine. I think I should cut mine in half. Down a bit.
I would. So swapping place.
Swapping places.
I'm having a thought.
I've got to look. I cut my fingers.
Okay.
He's saying, look at the camera.
All right.
But I have to cut my pie.
And I'm going to see if we can pick up the show, for instance.
Oh, I squished mine, but I'm going to eat it anyway. Just check. Oh, it's still a bit warm.
It is warm. It's hot. So.
But good. So you thinking we can maybe just carry on mine, just swap it over?
I'm not sure.
If we do that, you see, will it just kill it? That's what we don't know. So that's
don't know.
That's what we've got to try and work out. So bear with us. Lots more to come if we can get this to work.
Because if we don't, we may have to restart a whole new show.
So what we're thinking, if we can do it from my laptop, we can charge it easily, no problem. But it's swapping it over, whether we're going to have to stop it and restart, or whether you can work out whether you can just seamlessly go on. We don't know. This is too hot.
Is it?
The lemon is still very hot. Unless I put it all in my mouth.
No, because no, it's not going to work.
No?
Well, because the camera's all set up. It's using this camera.
But if you just unplug that camera and plug it into mine, just have a black screen.
Yeah, there's no way of picking it up.
Oh, because it won't recognise the camera straight away. It's not in there.
Well, there's just no setting in here to choose.
I think we're going to have a minuscule break and restart this, I reckon. He's coming back.
This was going to be a marathon long, but we have been beaten by power and beaten by Macintosh again. I'm losing my patience with Macintosh. I know this isn't the first time. This is many, many times over the last 2.5 years of traveling with this Macintosh that it's given us problems. And the problem is now there's not enough juice in my main laptop, and I think I can't take it over. So what we're going to do is bear with us. Michelle will stand here and chat. We'll see whether or not we can pick up and continue.
If not, if it does go off and you have to restart, I'll put the link to the new one in this chat.
Yeah. Does everyone understand? Is there anyone watching, by the way?
Yes. And Linda's just said hi. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Malnati. I'm not very good at these names.
No, Michelle's hopeless with names.
I'm trying.
She's very trying.
Oh, he's getting cocky now. I should just go with first name. See, Linda's is easy. I can do that. But so we're going to see whether suddenly it might go off and you might have to say goodbye. But we'll.
You know, if you were doing it in a different way, this would work. But I don't know. it's going to die anyway, isn't it? We haven't got an option here.
Yeah, I mean, yours has got a bit more, but I'm then not going to be able to see the comments. So we can't interact with everybody.
Okay.
I have to tidy up while I'm waiting. Wipe this side
The only
down.
thing is, I'm not sure that you're... Right, we're going to go off sound and vision at the moment, everybody, because I've had to disconnect the camera. If it doesn't work, wait 5 minutes and join us on the new stream, okay?
Right, you got that 5 minutes if it goes dead.